Yeah.
Yeah, he's got items, other items.
Does he?
On consent.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm going to call to order the Monday, August 24th, Royal Oak City Commission meeting to order. We're going to begin with an invocation given by Commissioner Dr. Rebecca Cheesem, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I ask that you stand if you can, please.
Good evening. Here we are in another election season. Each election season, the rhetoric and advertising and talking points often makes us seem hopelessly divided. While there will always be differences, and I've come to know that every decision that we make up here will make some people in our community unhappy, I don't believe that the division is as deep as we are made to believe. At our core, we are a community linked by our common humanity. We have all seen glimpses where this common humanity overpowers any ideological difference. For me, one of the most profound such moments happened when my family was just about to start camping at a Michigan State park about 4 years ago. It was a beautiful sunny day with a gentle breeze. We were camping with another Royal Oak family who had already arrived and started setting up. As my husband was backing our pop-up camper onto our site and I was waving him into the spot, we heard a loud crack. We looked up and saw a large, healthy-looking tree begin to fall. It's amazing how slowly a tree falls until it tips just enough for gravity to do its work. As it was falling, I ran to get me and my daughter out of the way. This huge tree landed with a gigantic thud right alongside the car, the camper, and my husband. While it was impossible to know right away, my husband was miraculously unhurt and there wasn't even a scratch on the car or camper. But here's where our common humanity comes to play. As soon as that tree hit the ground, there was an absolute tsunami of people running towards our campsite to help. There were dozens of men and women, different ages, just running to the scene from their own campsites. I heard someone yell, "They've got kids!" Again, in these first few moments, it was a bit difficult to figure out the damage, and while the ending was thankfully a happy one, there was the potential for it to have been catastrophic. All these strangers were ready to face that and assist. Now, this didn't take place during some idyllic time where everyone always helped everyone. This was in 2022. Political division was prominent, but it did not matter in that moment. When a family of campers needed help, the campers ran to the scene to help. So, as we work together to enhance what is good and to solve problems in our city, how do we tap into our shared humanity? We remember that as we live together in a society, we make a commitment to each other. If our neighbor's house is on fire, we call the fire department. We support our kids' fundraisers. We bring the garbage and recycling cans back for our elderly neighbors and check on them during a power outage. We don't think the worst of each other, nor do we put some people on a pedestal. The truth is likely somewhere in the middle. All of us are neither perfect nor evil. Some may say that this is too idealistic, but if we aren't at least a little bit idealistic, why are we sitting at this dais? Why are we in city government? Why are you watching this meeting? So tonight, as we roll up our sleeves to get to work for the city, let us keep in mind our shared humanity. Let's listen, be caring, and committed to the common good of our shared Royal Oak. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Is Kevin with us yet tonight?
Not yet.
Okay. So we are going to push to later in tonight's agenda the report on enforcement of noxious weeds. We've had a few urgent changes to schedule, I'll just say. And so we're going to have to push that one out until our DPS director gets here to discuss that item. Which brings us to a few proclamations that we have this evening. Is my microphone down there? There it is. All right, not that I need one of these. I'm sure everybody can hear me quite fine. I promise, no comedy. All right, we have 3 proclamations this evening. The first we're going to do is a proclamation celebrating Constitution Week in the city of Royal Oak. And so, Charlene Douglas, are you here to accept this along with Diane?
Diane couldn't make it.
Okay, so you're here?
Yes.
All right, well, come on up. For those of you who don't know, Charlene Douglas was a former commissioner. She serves on our planning commission, and she's also a daughter of the American Revolution. All right, this is a proclamation designating September 17th through the 23rd, 2026, Constitution Week in Royal Oak. Whereas the United States of America is commemorating the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence in 2026, celebrating the founding principles of liberty, equality, representative government, and the inherent rights of all people. And whereas those principles were later secured and strengthened through the drafting and ratification of the Constitution of the United States, establishing a durable framework for self-government and the rule of law. And whereas September 17, 2026 marks the 239th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution of the United States by the delegates to the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And whereas the Constitution remains the supreme law of the land, defining the powers and responsibilities of government while protecting the rights and freedoms of the American people. And whereas the Constitution has provided stability, opportunity, and democratic governance for generations of Americans and continues to serve as a model for constitutional government throughout the world. And whereas the preservation of constitutional government depends upon an informed and engaged citizenry that understands both rights guaranteed by the Constitution and the responsibilities of citizenship. And whereas Constitution Week was established to emphasize the responsibilities and privileges of American citizenship, encourage the study of the Constitution, and foster informed civic participation. And whereas Constitution Week provides an opportunity for all Americans to reflect upon the wisdom of the framers, study the Constitution, and renew their commitment to the principles of freedom, justice, and representative government. And whereas Public Law 84-915, enacted by Congress and signed by President Dwight D. Eisenhower in 1956, designates September 17th through the 23rd of each year as Constitution Week. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Mayor Fournier, and the members of the Royal Oak City Commission, on behalf of the entire Royal Oak community, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week in Royal Oak, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals held by our framers of the Constitution in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. Mr. Douglas?
Thank you.
You are? Oh, you want a picture? Few words?
Yes, thank you. Good evening, and thank you, Mayor Fournier and City Commission members. I'm Charlene Douglas. I'm a member of the Ezra Parker chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution. On behalf of the chapter, we thank the city for bringing attention to Constitution Week. On September 17th, our chapter will join Bells Across America to celebrate the beginning of Constitution Week. We invite everyone to join us in Royal Oak Centennial Commons, where we will ring bells beginning at 4 p.m. Appropriately, the bells we will ring will be cowbells, a nod to one of Royal Oak's founding businesses.
Hey, point out, Mr. Mayor, I don't think bells are allowed in this.
So you don't want yours?
Mr. Douglas knows that.
You don't want yours?
No, thank you. Please, okay.
More than 1 million women have joined the DAR since its founding in 1890. Today, nearly 200,000 members advance our missions of education, historic preservation, and patriotism. Last year, members around the world gave 7 million volunteer hours in service to our communities. Right now, there may be a woman watching this meeting who knows that her ancestors supported the cause of independence. We encourage her to visit dar.org to learn how she might join us. Thank you.
Oh, you were serious?
Thank you.
And anytime anyone thinks Commissioner Colo's not making an appropriate point, you can ring the bell.
That's what I'm thinking.
Exactly. That's the first thought.
Should I give the mayor one or not?
Give it to him.
Thank you.
I promise to use it reservingly. All right, we have another proclamation this evening regarding Suicide Prevention Awareness Month in September. I'll see if Alyssa or Sabrina, oh, hi, how are you? Good to see you. So I'm going to read this important proclamation. This is a proclamation designating the month of September 2026 as Suicide Prevention Month. Whereas September is recognized as Suicide Prevention Awareness Month, a time when millions of people around the world join their voices to promote suicide prevention awareness. And whereas understanding the issues concerning suicide and mental health is an important way to take part in suicide prevention, help others in crisis, and change the conversation around suicide. And whereas suicide is not inevitable for anyone, by starting the conversation, providing support, and directing help to those who need it, we can prevent suicides and save lives. And whereas the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline offers free and confidential 24/7 call, text, and chat access to trained crisis counselors who can help people in suicidal crisis or any kind of emotional distress. If you or someone you know is struggling or in crisis, help is available. Call or text 988 or chat 988lifeline.org to reach the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. And whereas everyone in our community can play a role in preventing suicide, we all need the occasional reminder that we are all silently fighting our own battles. A simple phone call, message, or hug can go a long way towards helping someone realize suicide is not the answer. Now therefore, be it resolved, I, Mayor Fournier, and the mayors of the Royal Oak City Commission, on behalf of the entire Royal Oak community, do hereby proclaim September 2026 as Suicide Prevention Month.
I'm just going to talk loud into this. Excuse the little frog in my voice I have right now. It's okay. Don't you worry about it. Okay, we're good. Don't you worry about it. I'm used to it. You'd be surprised. Hi, everybody. My name's Sabrina Filoni. I'm one of Royal Oak Police Department's co-responders. I'd like to start off by saying thank you for this recognition. The partnership between us as clinicians and Royal Oak PD has been incredibly meaningful. Every day we have the opportunity to meet people in some of the most difficult moments of their lives, and hopefully we can help them see that there is another way forward. Suicide Prevention Month is an important reminder that prevention starts with connection, with being willing to notice that someone is struggling, to ask difficult questions, and to make sure that people know that they're not alone. We are incredibly grateful to the city and our police partners for believing in this work and for allowing us to continue making a difference together. We are proud of what we've built here, and we are even more proud of the lives that we have the opportunity to impact. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Sabrina and her team do amazing things. They're on the front line, just as every Royal Oak police officer is. And like she said, sometimes you meet people in their worst times. It's a very difficult job, and we're so very lucky and blessed to have great people helping the rest of us out in this community. Thank you, Sabrina.
Thank you.
Well, something really cool happened, not in our community, but affected our community not too long ago. I'll ask the Royal Oak Leprechauns to come on up here. We have a proclamation honoring the Royal Oak Leprechauns 2026 Northwood Leagues Championship. All right, look at that trophy. That's a real trophy. I mean, that's serious hardware. All right. So, for those of you who don't know, the Royal Oak Leprechauns have been a staple in our community, playing out of Memorial Park. It's a collegiate league that brings in a number of players from Michigan and all over the country, It's a really exciting venue. It's a place where you can watch great baseball, take the kids out, and not break the bank. This is really a privilege to read this proclamation because I know how hard you guys worked and how hard the team worked this year. So, whereas the Royal Oak Leprechauns made history in 2026 by capturing the Northwoods League Championship, the first championship in franchise history, defeating St. Cloud Rocks 3-1. And whereas the Leprechauns demonstrated determination and resilience throughout the season, finishing the first half of the Great Lakes East play with a 19-17 record before surging to the top of the standings in the second half with an outstanding 24-12 record. And whereas every member of the Royal Oak Leprechauns contributed to this historic championship season, demonstrating outstanding teamwork, determination, sportsmanship, and commitment both on and off the field. And whereas the Leprechauns were led during the 2026 season by field manager DJ LeMahieu, who brought the preparation, consistency, and teamwork that defined his distinguished Major League Baseball career to the Royal Oak dugout. And whereas the Royal Oak Leprechauns proudly call the Lucky Corner at Memorial Park their home, playing in the historic park established in 1939, and bringing high-level collegiate baseball, family-friendly entertainment, and memorable summer nights to the heart of Royal Oak. And whereas the Royal Oak Leprechauns are a nonprofit organization committed to being more than a baseball team, strengthening the Royal Oak community through player outreach, school and community appearances, the Little Leprechauns Kids Club, volunteer service, community events, and commitment to diversity and inclusion. And whereas the Leprechauns compete in the Northwoods League, a premier summer collegiate baseball league that provides elite college players an opportunity to develop their skills and has helped more than 340 alumni advance to Major League Baseball. And whereas the players, coaches, staff, board members, volunteers, host families, sponsors, and fans of the Royal Oak Leprechauns have given our community a championship season to celebrate. Now therefore be it resolved, I, Mayor Fortier, and the members of the Royal Oak City Commission, on behalf of the entire Royal Oak community, do hereby congratulate and honor the Royal Oak Leprechauns as the 2026 Northwoods League champions and recognize their historic first franchise championship, their outstanding performance on the field, and their continued commitment to the Royal Oak community. And be it further resolved, the City of Royal Oak extends its congratulations to the players, coaches, staff, and entire Leprechauns organizations, and thanks the fans who filled the Lucky Corner with Royal Oak pride throughout this unforgettable championship season. Congratulations, champs. Royal Oak is proud of you. A few words?
Well, I'll just say it was about a year ago today at a meeting like this. I stood right about there, and I guaranteed that the Royal Oak Leprechauns would make the playoffs. And the amount of you-know-what I caught for that was quite a bit. But turns out I set the bar too low because thanks to Coach Faust and Coach LeMahieu and the entire coaching staff and all the players, they had an incredible run and ended up winning it all. So there's a lot of thank yous to make throughout the entire city of Royal Oak, but I want to give a special shout out to Judy Davids, the wonderful Judy Davids, who's been a day one supporter, a host family for us. And just when we call you and have an ambitious idea, let's say, you're at least open to hearing us out for it. So we love you and appreciate you. And a special shout out to Mayor Fournier as well for making himself available to me. First year as GM, that meant a lot to me. And Commissioner Colo as well for making yourself available to me. So thank you all. And we're looking forward to another great season in 2027. Thank you.
Awesome.
Yep.
All right. You guys worked really hard for this. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. I mean, a second half of the season going 24-12, that's what you got to love about baseball. You're never out. In life, you're never out. You can turn it around no matter how bleak things look. What an incredible story. A lot of hard work. Great to see you guys come through and bring some good news to the city of Royal Oak. All right, we'll do a little reverse now from an Uno point of view. I think now that Kevin Yee is here, Oh, you're going to move it to after consent?
Right.
Oh, did I miss that when I was doing the proclamations? Okay, all right. So I guess we will, after the consent agenda, we will talk about the noxious weeds if you guys are here for that. So what we'll do first is the approval of tonight's agenda. Does anyone wish to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda? We have a motion by Commissioner Chisholm.
Move approval?
Okay. Second by Commissioner Bastian. Discussion on the agenda tonight? With none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. All right, this brings us to public comment. Just a few ground rules before we commence public comment. The City Commission values and relies on the input of our fellow citizens to help make decisions. Now is the time set aside for you to address the City Commission on any city-related topic, whether or not it's on the agenda. I do ask that comments be directed to the Commission as a whole and not to individual commissioners. We've also made it easier for you to request follow-up on any issue that you bring to public comment simply by scanning the QR code you see displayed. Please make sure to double check your information for accuracy, as staff will utilize it for post-meeting responses. In addition to public comment, there will also be a hearing this evening on the request from Royal Eats Royal Oak LLC to approve a new plan of operation for the Royal Eats Brunch and Diner to be located at 617 South Washington. So you can speak at both, speak at one, but we will have another opportunity for that public hearing. If you wish to speak tonight at public comment or at the public hearing, please wait until recognized by me, the mayor, and then come up to the podium. For the record, we do ask that you state your name and address, and please be mindful, we want to hear from anyone who wishes to speak tonight, so comments are limited to 3 minutes per person and not per topic. And we do have a timer at the podium to help you keep track of your time. Please note, we typically don't respond directly to questions during public comment. However, we are writing those questions down, and when the topic comes up, we'll ask that question on your behalf. If your question has nothing to do with anything on tonight's agenda, that's okay. Our city manager, I look over here, I peek at his notes, he is taking notes, and it's always helpful that if you're not leaving your contact information through the QR code, that you find a way that we can get the answer back to you. We'll go to the effort of getting the answer, but we gotta give it back to somebody. And if you don't feel comfortable using the QR code, we do have our most amazing community engagement specialist, Judy Davids, sitting right there. She is so kind and joyful and approachable. I promise you, if you have a question or want to answer, leave your information. She'll make you feel 100%, maybe 200% today, on top of getting you the answer you need. So with that, who's first tonight? Yeah, Dylan.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Belen Morales, and my address is 2722 North Vermont, Royal Oak, Michigan. Good evening, and thank you for your time. I'm here tonight as a resident, a parent, and a proud member of our community to urge this commission to find funding for critical repairs for our ice rink. My perspective on this rink comes from a unique place. I am a first-generation Mexican-American. I grew up in El Paso, Texas, surrounded by sun, desert, and hot sand. Ice skating was not part of my childhood. But when I moved to Michigan and I had my 2 sons, I wanted a different experience for them. I wanted them to learn a real, tangible skill. More than that, I wanted them to be woven into the fabric of a larger community. I wanted my little Mexican boys to be a part of a local hockey culture and the ice skating family. Today, my boys are 5 and 8, and I will be completely honest with you, putting them on the ice is sometimes like trying to take cats to the pool. It takes a lot of effort, but every single moment has been worth it. This facility, these incredible coaches, and community surrounding the rink have given my family something irreplaceable. 3 times per week, my boys get to witness others constantly learning and pushing themselves to be better. They are surrounded by dedication and resilience, and in a modern world that's dominated by screens, YouTubers, and Roblox, the ice rink provides real grounding space that has brought nothing but good things to my family. The most important lessons my sons have learned on the ice doesn't just apply to sports, it applies to life. They have learned that when you fall down, you get back up and you try again. Right now, our rink has fallen down a bit, and it needs your help to get it back up. This facility is a vital anchor for our children's physical health, mental resilience, and social growth. Please approve the funding for these repairs, and please fix our rink. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Morales. Just one thing about, and I know a lot of you are new here tonight and probably are here now that I understand probably talking about the ice arena. This is more like a courtroom and less like a hockey game. We do ask that applause and comments and things like that, just we hold off on that. And the reason is because, not that I see anybody tonight in general coming up and opposing what anyone might be saying, but in general, we don't want to dissuade anybody that might have an opposite opinion about whatever topic someone comes to the podium with. So we do ask that if you can hold your applause, we greatly appreciate it. Okay, who's next? Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Commission. My name is Casey Green. I reside at 3531 Arbor, and I've spoken in prior meetings both for the City Commission as well as the Parks Advisory Board about Lindell Ice Arena, and I wanted to speak up this evening in support of the agenda item for emergency repairs that are needed to get the arena reopened. Right now, the rink has been closed during a very busy time for skating and hockey due to failure of critical systems needed to operate. That has caused programs, teams, and leagues that were supposed to start their seasons to scramble and buy ice time elsewhere, a loss in revenue to the rink. In addition, the rink is a source of employment for people like instructors and pro shop employees who have been hurt by this shutdown. It is very important that these emergency repairs be completed as soon as possible so that it can be reopened, and I hope the Commission will approve that agenda item. It needs to be said, however, that this closure was predictable and preventable. The failure of the lines below the concrete in West Rink has been a reoccurring problem. $119,000 in emergency repairs were previously approved for the rink, and the dehumidifier has been limping along and causing issues for some time, creating condensation and poor conditions at the rink. The emergency work is being done at the lowest price point possible, and while I appreciate the need to be cost conscious, it questions whether that repair is going to be enough. The approach to maintenance and investment at the rink over the last several years seems to be one of patch and then kick the can. It's not working anymore. The rink needs investment or this type of closure will continue. The city recently indicated that important investments noted in the capital improvement plan, including the roof and HVAC system, would be put on hold, with the Director of Parks and Recreation expressing concern over the lack of funds for existing infrastructure like Lindell. What will happen when these systems fail? If the city does not come up with a better plan for this facility than patch and kick the can, closures and shutdowns will happen and the rink will not be operational. I respectfully ask you to both approve the emergency repairs that are on the agenda this evening, while also considering a more comprehensive approach to the rink going forward so it can be maintained as the important community recreation asset going forward. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ms. Green. All right, who's next? Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. My name is Joshua Morales. I live at 1926 West 12 Mile Road here in Royal Oak. I'm actually here to talk about the city website. I did see that there was an RFP that was recently concluded and work has started 5 days ago on the city website. I'm actually here to talk about open standards regarding that though, and I hope I'm not too late as if requirements have been drafted or not. But mostly I did appreciate that the current city website has iCal access, so we can, subscribe to any calendars. Those work great. However, the RSS feeds on the current city website, there are over 75 RSS feeds on the current city website. Only maybe like 2 or 3 work, and those are the ones that are labeled all. So we're not able to properly filter these when we're taking in, when we subscribe to these RSS feeds, we're not able to really filter down to what we're looking for. Let's say I wanted police alerts. I can't really filter that out through all, because the all just gives me even school bus routes, and it gives me, hey, a holiday's coming up. It's very, there's a lot of noise for just to sift through to get to what you want. So what I'm hoping for with this new website that you guys are developing, and again, I'm happy that a new website is being developed. I know it's a huge undertaking considering the structure of organizations that the city manages. I'm hoping that the RSS feeds are better organized, and I just hope this becomes an important part of the requirements. RSS is very important as an open standard so that developers like me can build applications on top of it for better civic engagement. And even if you don't have an application developer, you also just have free RSS tools that allow people to focus their attention on city matters. And if RSS feeds are structured well, people can do that more effectively. That's really all I have. It's just about the city website. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Morales. Yes, ma'am, here on the end.
Good evening. My name is Nicole Korbacki. I reside at 2413 Clausen Avenue. I'd like to repeat some of the sentiment that Ms. Green was discussing regarding the Lindell rink. I believe you guys also all received an email from my husband late last night. We have been members of the WROK community since 2010. Endless hours at the rink. He's been coaching, I've been managing. We have 4 banners that we have raised in the rink and endless trophies in the trophy case. The rink is a source of community, it's a source of fun, it's a source of exercise, and a source of growth for all of our kids. At this point, the rink conditions have failed. It is at a point where it seems like across Royal Oak, we have wonderful things without a plan of how we're going to maintain those. I've been at other meetings where there's been discussions of bathrooms going in and other upkeep on parks. Again, all of this requires maintenance, and long-term maintenance for things that we seem to have, like John Lindell, continue to be neglected and continue to fail. At this point, we have 2 teams that I personally am responsible for that cannot start their season. There are 13 youth programs in the hockey alone, including 3 high schools, countless figure skaters, countless co-ed teams, plus just leisure pursuits of sticks and pucks that are being held because of the poor maintenance and poor oversight on the rink. So I would urge you guys to consider what path forward we can do to get the rink back up, maybe some long-term plans for the rink. I would also encourage maybe reaching out to those of us that are at the rink. We have all spoken up before at different times over the last 5 years in regards to maybe a Friends of Lindell, some type of fundraiser. There's been discussion of the Zamboni needing funding, which had that been something discussed with members of the community, we could have had a booth at Arts Beats and Eats where maybe teams from both figure skating and hockey could have been there trying to raise some money for their Zamboni. I feel like there's plenty of collaborative effort that could be done to assist with the rink, but right now we can't do anything until the rink is back up and operational. So I'm hoping that tonight you guys can continue to fund the repairs, and then we can look forward to what we can do in the future to keep the rink going. It's a vital part of our community. Again, myself, we have members from Flint, Waterford, Romeo, as well as Royal Oak, Oak Park, and all surrounding areas, including Berkeley and Oak Park, who recently lost both of their rinks. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, right here. Yep.
Hello, my name is Luminitza Lund, and I'd like to reiterate some of what the others have been saying, but from a skater's point of view. I'm 16. I've been skating at this rink for years, and it's truly become a source of community for me. I've been involved in sports my whole life, but nothing has truly quite been as special to me as figure skating has. I started it around when I started middle school, coming from dance, and I almost instantly clicked with it, but now I feel like our rink is not up to par. even before the closure, our rink has had major problems. I skate on the west side, and we have had holes on the ice that are being covered by buckets, multiple holes that we've had to skate around. It's very foggy in there. Our ice is frosting over, and our Zamboni isn't quite working as well as it probably should. And now our rink is closed. I don't think this is good enough for us. I think us skaters deserve better than this. We deserve to have a rink that works. And I understand how sorry, I didn't plan to speak. I understand how budgeting issues can occur, and I understand, but I think that we need help, and I think that you guys should help us. Just please consider that, and just don't, there's so many people at the rink, so many skaters, so many of my friends who rely on this rink. It's right next to the high school. It's so convenient, and I'd hate to have some of us not be able to go back to that rink that we love so much. It's been there for years, and it's been having problems, and I would love to see that fixed as a skater. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, right here in the front, white shirt.
Good evening. My name is Kelly Rickley, and I reside at 726 South Laurel Street in Royal Oak. I have the privilege of serving as the president of the New Edge Figure Skating Club, based here in Royal Oak and operating primarily out of the John Lindell Ice Arena. Our club has called John Lindell home for more than 50 years. Today we have 266 members, including youth skaters, their parents, adult skaters, and coaches whose livelihoods depend on this facility. We host Skate Fest, our annual figure skating competition at John Lindell, and bring in more than 200 skaters and their families to Royal Oak. Participation increased 25% from 2025 to 2026. Our club also loves to participate in the Royal Oak Ice Show, an annual city-supported event that gives our skaters an opportunity to celebrate their hard work with their family, friends, and the Royal Oak community. I'm also speaking tonight as a skater and a parent. Both of my children and I skate at John Lindell. And for my daughter especially, figure skating is her passion. We depend immensely on this facility. John Lindell cannot simply be replaced by ice somewhere else. Ice availability in our area is already extremely limited. We have lost other rinks in the area in recent years. And while demand for figure skating and hockey remains very high, there simply isn't enough ice available elsewhere to absorb these programs. That's why we appreciate the city considering the funding necessary to make these emergency repairs to keep John Lindell operational is incredibly important to our community. But I would also respectfully ask the Commission to consider how we reached this point where these repairs became an emergency. To those of us who use John Lindell regularly, we have been aware of these facility and maintenance concerns for years. The dehumidification issues did not begin this summer. If major systems have been deteriorating over time, it is reasonable to ask, what did the facility management know? Was it communicated to the city? Were anticipated maintenance and replacement costs identified? And could these issues have been addressed before they resulted in an unexpected closure and emergency funding request? Those questions are especially important with the city's management agreement with Suburban Ice approaching expiration in 2027. I'm not here tonight to advocate for what that future management arrangement should be, but if Royal Oak makes a significant investment in this facility today, I respectfully ask the Commission to examine how the facility has been managed and maintained, and what oversight will be necessary to protect that investment going forward. For our members, the hockey community, our coaches, and everyone who relies on increasingly scarce ice, John Lindell matters. Please fund these repairs necessary to keep this rink operating, but also ask the questions necessary to make sure we don't find ourselves back here again. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Anybody on this side? Okay, we'll go in the far back corner. Yes.
Good evening. My name is Kimberly Polito Garth, and I live at 1721 Woodsboro Drive in Royal Oak. I'm a Royal Oak resident and taxpayer, and I'm the parent of my 10-year-old daughter, Paloma, who has been skating at John Lindell Ice Arena since 2020. She currently skates there 5 days a week. For our family, John Lindell is much more than just an ice rink. It is a place where Paloma has grown up. Since she was 5 years old, she has spent countless hours there learning, training, making friends, and developing a passion for skating. It has become a very important part of her life and our family's life. The current closure has significant impact on us and, like many other families, skaters, coaches, teams, and programs that depend on this facility. Ice time is already incredibly difficult to find in this area. And when John Lindell is unavailable, there simply aren't enough alternatives for everyone who needs access to the ice. As Royal Oak taxpayers, we understand that maintaining a facility like this requires investment, but we also believe that that investment is important. John Lindell serves not only Royal Oak residents, but a much larger skating community, and it provides an opportunity for children like Paloma to learn, grow, and pursue something that they love. I respectfully ask the Commission to support the repairs necessary to reopen John Lindell and return it to being a safe, reliable facility for our community. I also ask that the city take a serious look at how these maintenance issues developed and what can be done to prevent a similar situation in the future. We need a long-term plan to properly maintain the facility and protect the city's investment in it. Paloma has been skating at John Lindell multiple days a week for years, and for a 10-year-old, that rink is a significant part of her world. I hope the city will recognize how important John Lindell is to children like her and to the families who invested so much time, so much energy, and passion into this community. We want to see John Lindell not just reopen, but remain a safe and well-maintained home for the skating community for many years to come. Thank you for your time.
All right, yes, here in the front.
I'm Emily Dumas, 825 West Houstonia. Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I am here tonight to speak in support of approving the necessary repairs to the John Lindell Ice Arena. My daughter began skating for fun 2.5 years ago at the outdoor rink right here in Centennial Commons. As she quickly took to it, we decided to get her a coach and look close to home first at John Lindell Arena. Fast forward to today, where she is thriving and accelerating quickly at a very special rink where she's made lifelong friendships. I feel so fortunate to live in a city that has such a phenomenal amenity with such talented skaters and coaching staff, and it's been beautiful to watch my child's progress. She, along with many of our figure skaters, are currently competing in the National Qualifying Series against some of the very best skaters in the country. However, they have not been able to practice in their home rink for weeks now. Prior to that, they were dodging buckets on the ice that were covering holes caused by the drips from the broken dehumidifier. I'll be truthful, these conditions are embarrassing and do not allow our skaters to be competitive when they cannot safely practice or even practice at all at their home rink. It's very special that Royal Oak has a city-run ice arena that allows for the discipline, the fun, and the sense of camaraderie that comes from playing organized sports in your local community. Our skaters and hockey players deserve a facility that will support their continued growth as athletes, and we need to invest in them. I respectfully ask that the Commission approve the emergency repairs to the ice arena and help our skaters to succeed. Thank you so much for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Right here on the end.
Hello, my name is Candace Cook-LaFurrow. My address is 53431 Shelby Township. I've been teaching figure skating, learn to skate at John Lindell for over 30 years. I might be one of the longest serving employees at the rink. In my 30 years, I've never seen the rink in this bad of shape. It's very hard to see something you love continue to fall apart. One rink is heaving again, and they had to take down the ice for repairs after just fixing this a few years ago. Now the dehumidifier issue means we have skated this rink with only one rink. And every day we skate in the rink with 6 buckets on the ice to catch the dripping water. And fog so thick that you can't see across the ice. It is a safety issue for the skaters and the coaches, and I understand why the rink had to close. What I don't understand is how it got to this. We need your help. Every day the rink is closed, our skaters are losing valuable training time getting ready for testing and competitions. Just last week we had a competition, so I had to scramble around trying to find ice time at other rinks so my skaters could be ready. Like the rest of the coaching staff, I'm self-employed. Every day the rink is closed, we're losing money. This is a place of our employment. This is our office. When the office is closed, there is no vacation time or PTO. We just don't get paid. I feel like the city doesn't care about the rink anymore because you haven't put money towards the budget. I'm asking you to show the residents of Royal Oak, especially those that use the rink on the regular basis, that the city is in a position to properly maintain the facility for the safety of the employees and the skaters. Thank you.
All right, we'll go right back there in the middle. Yeah, on the right, or your left. No? Okay, why not?
Good evening. My name is Samantha Wilson Keith, and I am a resident of Royal Oak, living at 4316 West 13 Mile Road. I am a resident figure skating coach at John Lindell Ice Arena. I'm asking the commission tonight to support the repairs necessary to keep John Lindell Ice Arena operational and continuing to serve our community. This is an incredible moment for ice sports. In a year when American athletes brought home Olympic gold medals across figure skating and hockey, and a year where we've been granted a women's professional hockey team in Detroit, interest in our sports are gaining extraordinary momentum. This is the time to invest in our facilities and into our programs, to build on that momentum and should ensure the continued growth and vitality of ice sports in our community. And that begins at community rinks like John Lindell. And the value of that community rink goes far beyond interest in sport and developing athletes. For so many skaters and players, the rink has become a second home. It gives them a safe place to go, a community where they belong, trusted adults and coaches who invest in them, and something meaningful to work towards. They grow up in these buildings. They learn life skills and lessons such as resilience, discipline, confidence, responsibility, and how to get back up after they fall, both literally and figuratively. As coaches, we get the privilege of being part of that journey. We don't just teach skating and games. We foster growth of skaters and players to find confidence, friendships, independence, and a sense of belonging. Those are the things they carry with them when they leave the ice. And for many of us, this rink is also our livelihood. Coaches and the rink staff depend on reliable ice to support ourselves and to serve our students. When a facility closes or is affected by maintenance issues, the impact reaches far beyond recreation. It affects families, it affects kids, it affects programs, jobs, and food on our table. Ice time is a scarce commodity to find. There simply isn't an abundance of available ice waiting to absorb our skaters, hockey players, teams, and coaches and programs displaced when the facility goes down. That makes community rinks like John Lindell not just valuable, but indispensable. We cannot sustain the sports and programs that we currently have, let alone grow with the current momentum without reliable places for people to participate in them. John Lindell isn't just an ice rink. It's a place where members of our community grow, find their people, find a place to belong, and make a living. Suitable, safe, and reliable facilities are crucial to keeping this community alive. I respectfully ask that the commission support the repairs necessary to reopen our rink and to sustain it going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, the one that was first to raise her hand.
Hello, my name is Isabel Truscott, and I live at 1235 Chesterfield Ave, Birmingham. This will be my 7th year being a figure skater at the John Lindell Ice Arena. For as long as I can remember, the rink has been my home away from home. I have built so many wonderful connections and friendships that were only possible because of skating. Since I am a Birmingham resident, I could be training at a closer rink, but I choose to skate at John Lindell. Because of the recent conditions at the rink, other skaters and I have battled poor visibility and hazardous conditions such as buckets placed all throughout the middle of the ice to catch drips from the broken dehumidifier. All of this has had a very big impact on my family and I. We come to the rink almost every day, but since it's been shut down, we've had to compensate by skating at other rinks. Therefore, I respectfully ask the Commission to support the repairs needed to keep John Lindell a safe, functional, and enjoyable facility for our community. I also hope the Commission can see how these maintenance issues have gotten worse over time and look at what can be done to ensure the rink can stay a functioning and safe facility in the future. Thank you.
Yes.
Hello, my name is Judy Montangeli, and I live at 1905 Balmoral Drive in Detroit. I'm 13 years old and started skating at John Lindell in the Learn to Skate program when I was 7 years old. I now skate with my coaches 4 to 5 times a week. I'm surrounded by some of my fellow skaters. We come from Royal Oak, Birmingham, and Huntington Woods, and our club includes skaters from over 30 cities around Metro Detroit. Though I get an allowance and have to budget and save for the things I want to get, I cannot imagine how hard it is for all of you to balance the needs and wants of the residents of the city of Royal Oak. What I do know is how important the rink is to me. I love the skills and discipline I learned from figure skating. I love the community of fellow skaters. These skaters around me are some of my best friends. We skate at the outdoor rink in downtown Royal Oak and participate in the annual Royal Oak Ice Show. And though the hockey players make the locker room really smelly, we also recognize how important it is to all of them. I live on the northwest side of Detroit. John Lindell is the closest rink with a skating program to my house. 2 weeks ago, I had the unique opportunity to take a lesson with Olympic gold medalist Charlie White. The conditions of the rink were really bad. The broken dehumidifier made it impossible for my mom to see through the boards, and there were times when I could not see my coach just a few feet away from me. And the buckets collecting condensation made the ice very dangerous. John Lindell is a second home to all of us. We ask that the Commission invest this money to adequately repair the rink so that we can continue to skate without interruption and under dangerous conditions. Thank you.
Yes, sir, in the back.
Good evening. My name is Terrence Keith. I live at 4316 West 13 Mile Road in Royal Oak. I am Samantha Wilson Keith's husband, who's a coach at John Lindell Ice Arena. I'm here speaking in support of the emergency funding for these repairs. I grew up, born and raised in Detroit. Growing up in the city, constantly the recreation facilities were underfunded. They were being closed. They were being sold off to other parties. At the time, leaders did not think that these were big issues. Over time, they ended up being very catastrophic problems and having a catastrophic impact on the morale of the community. Young people remember how adults prioritize the places that they frequent. And as they get older, they start to question if that's the place they want to stay and raise a family over time. Detroit spent the past 10 years trying to make up for the damage of those short-sighted decisions made years ago. I work in construction management. I work with a lot of municipal partners. Maintenance is one of the top things that we constantly discuss. When you have equipment that is 30 years old, you know the maintenance schedules need to pick up. You cannot wait until a critical failure to step in and address the issue. You're going to cost more money trying to find that emergency repair. You're having social consequences and, from a city standpoint, more financial consequences as well. So please support that emergency funding and also a comprehensive plan for maintenance for John Lindell, but also all the critical facilities throughout the city of Royal Oak. Thanks.
In the back in the yellow shirt.
Good evening. My name is Calvin Carson. I live at 21500 Winchester Street, Southfield, Michigan. I am the proud and probably the oldest member of the New Edge Figure Skating Club. I come to you because it's very important that we do maintain this arena for two reasons. Number one, I believe that this arena is strategically placed in a good position within the Metro Detroit area, so that anytime that hockey wants to bring in a tournament or figure skating wants to do a major competition, which there are many that they could actually bid on but can't get because the facility is not at full operational status, that would be very enhancing for the business community here in Royal Oak. I also believe, number two, one of the most important things about this arena is that it gives kids a place to go to build and become not only great athletes, but great individuals in society, especially the young women here. I have watched figure skating for over 40 years, and I've seen these girls develop into wonderful young women because of the sport, teaching them discipline, strength, and just good values that be able to take care of them. I think that you are definitely going to miss a good investment if you don't put the money into the rink, because it's going to pay off more than just in fees that you would collect there. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Yeah, over there. Right. Yep.
Hi, my name is Catherine Parr. I live at 318 East LaSalle Avenue, and I go to John Lindell twice a week since I just started going there twice a week, but I've been going there since I was in 2nd grade, and now I'm all the way in 6th. So, since it's like a big part of everyone here, and it's a lot of people's home and community, and so many people have made so many friends. And that's why I think you should come and help us and help with our emergency repairs. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, a quick point of order.
Yeah.
I think it's important maybe if we could say that any other maybe school-age children come up tonight don't need to tell us their address.
Yeah, you don't, if you're coming up here and you're under 18, you don't feel required to state your address if you don't want to. That's a good point, Commissioner Colo. Yes, Ms. Popowski. Yep.
Good evening, Nancy Popowski, Royal Oak. Have you attended a hockey game or ice show at Lindell? Very exciting, professional, and inspiring. This year's ice show, A la Mode, the Swedish show on ice, had fun classic performances like To Little Richard's Tutti Frutti and today's K-pop song Soda Pop. Elaborate costumes with excited kids and adults inspired to do solos someday, like a Lindell senior skater who is now heading off to college, along with several peers that are successful senior Lindell skaters. This Lindell skater is a U.S. figure skating gold medalist, 2-time synchro sectional champ, and 4th place on the national stage. The senior skaters have excellent backgrounds and goals with amazing support from parents, staff, and peer skaters. Their experience in Lindell is priceless. Unfortunately, over the years, Lindell has been neglected and is now in an emergency state of disrepair, with many ice system shutdowns and other issues, like during the ice show, when several women complained how bad the conditions were in the restrooms. Not dirty, but very run down. How embarrassing for the staff. What an amazing staff who, through this shutdown, found ice times for skaters at other rinks. How commendable. Loyal coaches helped make a gold medalist. Lindell needed money years ago. Please make maintaining infrastructure like Lindell a priority before spending money on optional, lavish projects. I hope the city sees what a treasure Lindell and staff are. Please stay away from for-profit privatization for the building, which could result in higher fees for skaters. A few grants are given a year, but not everyone can get them. Just like we prioritize our library, senior center, parks, etc., we should include and take care of Lindell. None of these should be for profit and not affordable. Please have the city spend city dollars and maintain city property on a regular basis so it doesn't become an emergency and skaters have no rink. Please remember the most important thing. thing. Children walking through the door of Lindell skate out inspired, talented, goal-oriented adults supported by parents, peers, and an amazing staff. And some even have gold medals. That's priceless. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, who's next? Yes, ma'am.
Hello, everyone. My name is Krista Greenwood. I live at 512 West Lincoln Avenue in Royal Oak, and I'm just here as a new Learn to Skate parent. So my 5-year-old just started skating this summer in the Learn to Skate program at Lindell. I just wanted to say that we're thoroughly enjoying the rink, and we were really disappointed to learn about this recent shutdown. And after learning some more about the ongoing maintenance issues, I just wanted to say it would really be a travesty if maintenance was continued to be deferred and that we lost use of this facility for our city. I think everyone else is contextualizing it a lot better, but as I'm just kind of new to the group, I just wanted to say, yeah, we're really enjoying the rink and we hope to have it maintained for future. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, right there.
Hello, my name is Mary Bortman, and I live at 26369 York in Huntington Woods. I am also similarly here to ask you to consider the emergency funding for the Lindell rink. And I want to just quickly share, last week I had the opportunity to take my hockey player, who's feeling a little shy right now, to an event at Farmington Suburban to meet U.S. Olympic gold medalist Megan Keller. And while it was really exciting to see her and meet her and, to see a gold medal in person, the most amazing thing was hearing about how she grew up in this community rink surrounded by families much like ours, and she made it on the biggest world stage. So I found that to be very inspiring. And, one of the things, I actually have 2 hockey players and a figure skater. And one of the things someone told me when we first started this journey is that if you keep your kids on ice, you'll keep them out of hot water. And that's very true. You've heard a lot of people talk about how these kids just grow up to be amazing adults. And obviously the people here in this room today are the ones that, actually with the exception of who just spoke before me, who are extremely involved in the rink. But taking away a safe third space for kids who are just showing up for public skate and sticks and pucks throughout the whole year would be a huge detriment to the whole community, in addition to our really dedicated competitive hockey players and figure skaters. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is John Lund. I live at 350 North Main Street. And I have a daughter who skates at John Lindell. She got up and spoke earlier. And I just want to say it's pretty clear that this means a lot to a lot of people. And you can see from the confidence of some of these young ladies coming up here and speaking to you guys, I'm intimidated to do it. And so I just wanted to say that, it's pretty clear. And I think that moving forward, if we could approve these emergency repairs as well as come up with a plan moving forward for how to keep the repairs going so that we don't run into disrepair like this again. That would be much appreciated. Thank you guys very much and have a good evening.
Thank you. Anybody else tonight? Yes, on the end here.
Thank you so much. Good evening. My name is Jessica Hallmark. I'm a candidate for Oakland County Probate Court Judge. I'm a resident of Lake Orion. I want to thank the Commission for giving me a few minutes of your time this evening to address you and to address the Royal Oak community and tell you a little bit about myself and my campaign. I know there are a lot of really important issues that are going to be on our ballots this November, and the Oakland County Probate Court race is probably not top of mind for most people. But this is a court that is, of all of the offices that we are going to get to vote on in November, this is a court that has perhaps the greatest potential to touch the lives of ordinary people. My mother served on the Oakland County Probate Court bench for 26 years. I had the opportunity through her service to learn about the court, to learn why it was so important to our community, and to see what it looked like for the job to be done well.
And I'll tell you a little story to quickly illustrate that. So my son was about 5 years old, and I went to pick him up one day at Latchkey, and one of the teachers came up to me and she said to me, "Are you related to Judge Hallmark?" And I admit that I sort of froze for a minute, and I thought, oh boy, what is this lady going to tell me? What sort of experience might she have had? Is this going to be a bad thing? But I said, yes, Judge Hallmark is my mother. And she looked at me and she said, well, she saved my stepson's lives. That is the sort of impact that this court has on our community. This is a court that is designed to help people who need help. It's people who have lost a loved one. It is people who have a disability or a mental health issue or kids who need care. Those are the populations that this court serves. I have been an attorney for 18 years in the state of Michigan. I represent individuals, families, and mom and pop businesses in business and real estate matters. I actually work with Kelly Allen, who I know is known to many of you. Before that, I worked for the Oakland County, the Chief Judge of the Oakland County Circuit Court as a law clerk. I have been endorsed by 37 Michigan judges. These are people who have diverse backgrounds, diverse experience and perspectives, but they have done the job. They understand what it means to do the job well, and they trust my experience and they trust the temperament that I would bring to the bench. I'm here this evening to ask for the support of the Royal Oak community for my race and the support of all of you. You can learn more about me on my website, and you can contact me, hallmarkforjudge.com. Jessica Hallmark, running for Oakland County Probate Court Judge. Thank you so much for your time. Good evening.
Thank you. Ms. Wandoff. I'm a little scared, but I'll retain my fear.
I know I'm scary. Christina Wandoff, 2906 Woodland Court. I'm here on behalf of the rink. When we first bought our house in Royal Oak, before we even finished selling our other house from a different county, we were looking for this rink. We were welcomed with open arms. I have 2 daughters. My 16-year-old is on the high school figure skating team, which they're an amazing group of kids. They went to states. They took third. This is her second home. And I've watched over the last 9 years that we've been in this rink that it's deteriorated. It really needs a lot of repairs outside of the emergency stuff. Yes, we need the emergency stuff taken care of right now because these kids spend, Olivia skates 3-4 days a week typically during the high school season and the regular season. And it's also her outlet. So when 2020 and the shutdown came, she has anxiety. She didn't have that outlet. We lost that outlet for those months that, all of the shutdown. So then when the rink opened back up, it was like, okay, or we were going to other rinks because they were open. We haven't been able to skate. We've had to cancel a lot of our lessons, which, is tough for our coaches, and it's also tough for my kid who's supposed to be practicing. She has a goal in mind of what she wants to get done before she graduates from Royal Oak High School. And if we can't get this rink back up to par where it needs to be, she's not going to be able to reach those goals. I don't want to go anywhere else. She doesn't want to go anywhere else. We just want to stay where we are in our community. And it's also like she skates after school, so she's able to go straight to the rink after school. I don't have to worry about driving her. So that's also a convenience for us, even though we live close enough to the rink that she can walk. But this is her outlet. I've watched a lot of these kids because I've been a huge part of the community in the ice rink with the figure skating group. I've watched these kids grow up. I've seen Luminitza grow up. I've seen, my daughter, she has other high school friends. I remember when Judy first came to the rink and I was doing, the ice show. These kids are amazing and they need their safe space where they can practice and, have their friendships and everything else to move on with their lives. And then, a lot of these kids are going off to college and skating in college. So they're continuing. That's it.
Thank you, Ms. Mock.
Yeah, that's mine.
Yes, Ms. Carney.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My name is Jennifer Carney. I live at 602 North Wilson in Royal Oak. I am not here to talk about the ice arena. During the August 10th City Commission meeting, the commission approved an item on the consent agenda to award a contract for rain garden and roadway median maintenance to Worry Free Outdoor Services. Attachment 1 to the agenda item, vendor contract, Exhibit B, vendor pricing, described 2 line items, $800 each for 2 areas on 4th Street between Connecticut and Vermont and between Vermont and Blair for, quote, spraying to kill off all invasive weeds and plants, prep bed for new landscaping in 2027 on 4th. While I look forward to this evening's report on enforcement of noxious weeds and property maintenance regulation as applied to invasive plant species, and despite the confluence of timing and description provided in the August 10th consent agenda item, the area on 4th does not contain noxious or invasive weeds. It is a certified rain garden with beautiful native plants. Worry Free proposed a solution without a problem. As a result, what this $1,600 bought us was the wholesale destruction of a gorgeous, mature rain garden with mature natives like prairie ironweed, blue indigo, foxglove beard tongue, nodding wild onion, and New England ice aster. It put the gorgeous native oaks and other native trees in the area at risk. Worry Free's actions also directly contradicted the Royal Oak Sustainability and Climate Action Plan, Goal 5, which is to protect and enhance its abundant green spaces by intentionally supporting native and biodiverse plantings and ensure accessibility to all residents, and at Goal 5.2.1 to, quote, integrate native plantings and sustainability into municipal landscaping practices. The City of Royal Oak Ordinance, Chapter 556-4, defines native plants as those identified by MSU's Native Plants and Ecosystem Services. Those native plants are located in a public database. These plants are all listed in that database. And I have some pictures that I took this afternoon that I will send all of you by email. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Carney. Ms. Brown.
I am Jen Brown at 602 North Wilson. You just got a lot of information and facts. I'm the touchy-feely one. I drive down those 2 blocks of 4th several times a day, back and forth from my home office to my downtown location. And those 2 blocks have given me so much joy. I have some of these plants tattooed on my arms. I love them so much. And when I saw them turning black and dying off, I was angry. I'm still angry about it. I'm sad. I don't even drive there anymore because I react so strongly to it. And I hope that the end result of whatever this effort is to restore those rain gardens and bring that beautiful 2 blocks of 4th Street back to our residents.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening. My name is Marcia Little, and I reside at 1620 Midland Boulevard here in Royal Oak. You got a little break from the ice arena, but we're back. I am a former skating director at John Lindell and the current ice show director. I've been connected to John Lindell since 2004, since I moved here initially, and I have maintained those ties even being away for a few years. One of the first things I did when I moved back in 2021 was go to the rink and get involved. Because that's what you do when you're part of a community. You find the torch that needs to be picked up and you help carry it forward, which is what everybody is doing here today. One of my peers got emotional up here today, and it's because this is where we've spent our lives. I have coached kids for 10 to 15 years. They see us more than they see anybody else sometimes. We're not a school teacher, they're very important, but they see us 2, 3, 4, 5 times a day for 10 to 15 years. This is integral to their livelihood, to our livelihood, and to them as children. And as somebody else spoke previously, these young children turn into these beautiful adults with the structure and everything else provided for them. We did produce a lovely show. It was the 46th annual ice show last year, and we're already planning for the 47th and hopefully far beyond that. We have a skating coach that grew up skating at the rink that currently coaches there, and I say she grew up skating at the rink, but she actually just grew up at the rink because she's still a Royal Oak resident, and now her kids play hockey there. And if you pop in on a Sunday, you'll run into her dad playing rec league hockey. That's 3 generations still at that rink. The thought, I had a conversation with her, the thought of her kids having to go play hockey, she was crying about it because this is a home. So I would just like you to really consider the support of the required, it's emergency funds, but they're required. It's a requirement for this building to move forward and this community to move forward in a positive manner. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi there, my name's Andrew Hammond. I'm at 3571 Arbor Avenue, Royal Oak. I have 3 children that use all of the ice skating and hockey at the Lindell Arena. I also myself played 10 years professional hockey for 4 different NHL teams. The reason I say that is because when I was a child, I had people who believed in me and supported me in facilities that were functional to work at. My goal now as coach of the Royal Oak 2016 Eagles is to provide all the kids at Royal Oak, whether they're figure skaters or hockey players, the same opportunities I had when I was a child. While these repairs are necessary, I want to reiterate we need a plan going forward to keep giving future generations the same opportunities I had when I was a kid. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else tonight? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, good evening. My name is Jialin Li, and I live on 3898 Stonehaven Drive in Troy, Michigan. So I'm the parent of 2 young figure skaters. This is Flora. She has been skating in John Lindell for about 8 years, and her younger sister has been skating here for 5+ years. So Flora, she skates here about 6 days a week, and last week she just competed at the national qualification series, figure skating competition. But it was really challenging for us because obviously the rink has been closed, and then we had to spend about 2 hours every day just to find ice time for practice to prepare for the competition. And for all the years, we spent countless hours at the rink before schools, after schools, weekends, and I've watched her fall, become very frustrated, and walk through difficult skills, and now she become very stronger and confident skater. But as a parent who is at the rink all the time, I noticed the facility and ice condition at John Lindell, it was unsafe for all the skaters and coaches. Now the rink is closed, and we are seeing just how difficult it is to replace John Lindell. And this is not just about our family, it's about all the skaters, hockey players, coaches, families, and programs. For example, Learn to Skate, and also the great programs like Ice Show, and also Skate Fest competition every year. So all of that depend on this rink. So for many coaches, and I know the rink is also their livelihood. So for many kids, it's just where they train, they make friends, they build their confidence, and also pursue something they love. It's not about the social media, but about making people make friends in real life. So the community deserves a safe, reliable rink that we can count on. John Lindell means so much to our family, but it means so much to many people in the community. Please help us keep John Lindell open, not just for our kids, but for all the kids, families, skaters, and coaches who call it home. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Ava Rankins-Meyer. I live on 2404 Talks Drive in Troy. And I want to talk about John Lindell Ice Arena and how much this rink means to me. This rink is more than just a building with ice in it. It's a place where I've been spending many hours practicing, learning, making friends, and doing something that I really love. Some of my favorite memories have happened here. When you spend so much time at the rink, it starts to feel like a second home. That's why I really hope our ice arena can be fixed and improved instead of losing a place that means so much to many people. Fixing the arena wouldn't be fixing a building. It would be protecting a place where kids can learn hard work and making friendships and creating memories that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. I really hope you'll consider how important this arena is to all of us who skate here. I would really love to have this rink fixed and be able to skate here again. Thank you.
And I'd like to add as well that, so we have another daughter that also skates at John Lindell, and our son, actually, we do sticks and pucks together. The rink is really important to us. It's really important from the community aspect, but really important from a competitive aspect as well. So our daughter is very competitive with figure skating. She's had the opportunity to represent different rinks in the area, and she has chosen John Lindell because of the community specifically. She's been on the U.S. development team for 2 years, and she was medaled at nationals. That's John Lindell, that's Royal Oak being recognized on a national level when she goes and competes. She could have done that for different arenas. She chose John Lindell because of the community. And it would be a shame to see that not get the service that it needs and the maintenance it needs and requires. So when she's trying to go out there, and now we have Charlie White, a gold medalist that has come to John Lindell to train and has the opportunity to work with a lot of figure skaters to help them improve, and they're skating around buckets in the middle of the ice. It's just saddening to see. There's so much heritage and history with John Lindell Ice Arena, and we would love to see that support it deserves and requires. And certainly as a dad, you see it on the figure skating side, but certainly on the hockey side as well, because I love the sticks and pucks with my son as well. So thank you for this consideration.
Can we get your name for the record too, sir?
Yeah, Blaine Rankensmeyer.
Thank you.
Same address, yeah. Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, anybody else? Going once? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Jeanette Mates. I live at 33351 Elgin Court in Sterling Heights. I'm a coach. I have the unique opportunity of not just coaching figure skating, but also hockey. This facility, this emergency money that they need is unfortunately needed. It's required for the rink to continue to operate. It's a Band-Aid. It's temporary fix. I've been teaching at that facility for 5 years. I have traveled around the world. I have a national title. I competed at the Worlds in 2010. I have never seen a facility being neglected as much as I have in this one, unfortunately. The issues with the dehumidifier have been ongoing for years. Every summer we have problems with humidity. This summer, unfortunately, has been the worst. To expect that your community and your clients pay 100% for something of not good quality is unacceptable. You have people like myself, you have people like Charlie White who are Olympic gold medalists that teach, that people come to learn from, and they're dodging buckets. You have one facility, the West Rink, that has been down most of the summer. You can't even get it back up and running. 2 years ago, you took it out for the summer because the heave was so bad that the walls, pieces of the wall, wouldn't even touch. You could get kids' fingers stuck in them. I understand that this is a lot of money that we're asking for you to put into this rink. I understand that it is very expensive to run facilities. You need to leverage the people that you have. You have employees here that are very qualified in helping you guys learn how to run an ice rink. I deplore the conditions that we have to skate in right now. And I know that we can do better. We are not asking you to do it on your own. We as a community, if you see, most of these people have come here just for this rink. They come here because they work there. They come here because that is the place, that is their outlet. They learn life lessons, not just skating and hockey. I am really requesting that you think about this not just as a simple fix now, but to continue to put the money into this city and this facility. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, anybody else? Going once, going twice. All right, we're going to close public comment, bring the meeting back to this side of the table. Thank you for everyone who participated in public comment. Greatly appreciate it. That brings us to the consent agenda number 10. I understand, Commissioner Herzog, you wanted to pull item I off the consent agenda?
Yes, please.
Okay. Does anyone wish to pull anything else off the consent agenda? All right. Does anyone wish to make a motion on the consent agenda with the exception of I? Commissioner Gantina? A motion by Commissioner Gantina. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Cheatham. Discussion? All right. With none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. 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 Those opposed? Motion passes. All right. Commissioner Herzog. Item I.
Thank you. I just wanted to uplift this piece of, sorry. Still learning. Just uplift this piece of art. Ms. Barkman, do you mind talking a little bit about this item?
Sure, and I know you were here for this evening too, so the applicant is here if there's any questions. So this item is a public art application for a mural on a business. You may recall that as a part of our process, we are approving that this is a mural and not a sign that may or may not be in compliance with our sign code. So that's kind of a little bit about what you're voting on. There are no public funds or anything that are used as a part of this program for murals on businesses. This is not a grant funded or anything like that for this area. But this particular mural spans 2 businesses that are along Woodward. And I'll invite the applicant up if you have any questions or want any additional information.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Why did you want to have art on your building?
Basically, Aaron Bellin, who's the owner of AFB Investments, I'm his property manager, Brad Scheibel. I work for him. In the past, he's owned and operated the Maury in Royal Oak, and if you all know the mural that he put on there, which was just to basically improve the side of a bland building. Same things applying here. He just wants something that the community can look at, he can look at. There's just not a big white wall. I mean, currently the wall is 16 by 60 of blank whiteness. So that's really the only reason he wants to put it on there.
And then is there any significance to the piece?
It's mainly going to portray a kind of a projection of Woodward from probably 11 Mile up until 14. That's just going to have, the landmarks, probably the Shrine of the Little Flower, and basically just kind of a semi, if you've seen the one in the Maury, it's kind of a graffiti style done. Kobe Solomon has done many murals around the city, around the state, around the world. And he and Aaron have a relationship. So Aaron has his art and just wants to kind of improve the side of the building.
Wonderful. And there is piece.
Yeah, it's sideways.
Sideways. And then Susan, or Ms. Markman, the process. Any business owner could come forward if they wanted to.
Yes. So any business owner within the city of Royal Oak who wants to put a mural on their building can do so. In the past, you may recall that the DDA has provided some grant funds, and I don't believe that's something they're doing at this time. But basically, if you want to put a building on, you just fill out the application, you email it to me, I take it to the Commission for the Arts. They're reviewing it, and again, their decision is a recommendation to you all about any action, and they're recommending in this particular case that you consider this a mural and not a sign. So we are stipulated that in the kind of the traditional boundaries that they've drawn is
It can't include things like the business name or their logo or a portion of their logo or anything like that in the mural.
Thank you. Well, I think these murals bring vibrancy to our community, and Woodward is such a special and historical place, and so I'm looking forward to seeing this when I drive by. That's it for me. I don't know if anyone else has any.
Doesn't look like it. I think it's pretty cool.
Then I will move to approve.
Yeah, motion by Commissioner Herzog, seconded by Commissioner Gantina. Discussion? Yeah, I just think it's really good. I know Mr. Beelan did a great job with Colby on the Maury project. Really cool, really interesting. This one looks, I'm not a big judge of art, but looks really cool. And to take a wall and turn it into a canvas, I think is a really good idea. Had a lot of interest, especially among Woodward. So thank you for bringing the application here. Okay. All right. With no further discussion, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion passes. All right. Good luck.
Thanks.
All right. So after consent, we're going to reposition the noxious weeds and our ordinance pertaining to it. And I see Mr. Yee is here. We're going to get into the weeds, Mr. Yee.
Good evening. All right, attached is a report which responds to residents' complaints regarding Japanese knotweed and tree of heaven, both state-designated invasive species. It clarifies that the city's existing ordinances, Chapter 757, Weeds, and Chapter 556, Property Maintenance, already authorize the city to treat these plants as a nuisance. No ordinance amendment is needed to establish that. The limiting factor is the enforcement mechanism, not classification. Both ordinances are built around height standard enforcement by cutting rather than a mandate to physically remove or eradicate a specific species. Extending enforcement to compel eradication would require a substantially different regulatory structure, which would be difficult to enforce and is without precedent among comparable Michigan communities reviewed as part of this analysis, which was, in this case, Birmingham, Clawson, Berkeley, Madison Heights, Troy, and Rochester Hills. The memorandum also outlines the city's current enforcement practice, under which code enforcement issues a violation notice when vegetation exceeds 8 inches, and, if uncorrected, the Department of Public Works cuts the vegetation and bills the property owner. To help residents understand the extent of the city's regulatory authority, staff developed and published a new invasive species resource page on the city's website, directing residents to state guidance on identification and licensed treatment options. In April of 2026, the Royal Oak Community Engagement Advisory Board also hosted an invasive species informational session with representatives from the Department of Public Works and Oakland County Parks. Staff recommends no ordinance amendment at this time. We'll continue educating residents through treatment demonstrations, social media, and community events in coordination with boards such as the Environmental Advisory Board and Community Engagement Advisory Board, and will continue to seek funding opportunities to support invasive species eradication efforts while monitoring state guidelines for any future regulatory pathway. So that is the report based on the attached memo. Meg Truba had prepared this, and she is not able to attend tonight's meeting, so I'm here to answer any questions and present this report.
I think there's going to be a few questions. Commissioner Herzog?
Great, thank you so much. So the ordinance, what the problem that we're trying to solve is height, right? Or maybe I'll just ask you, what is the problem we're trying to solve with the ordinance?
In the ordinance, as I believe it is written, is to eradicate height and neatness of a property. So if there's overgrown of any plantings, it's there to kind of eradicate that and keep things in more neat and orderly.
And then at our last meeting, a resident came and said that we did that. We came through, we chopped it down, but in doing that, by trying to solve that problem, we created a new problem because it like spread through trapping. Because the way to take care of that issue, there's other best practices. And so was the city, did they ever reach out to Oakland County SISMA or Lake St. Clair SISMA to get an idea of what the best practices are, or maybe even ordinances that might be in place for these invasive species?
So I'm not sure who Megan talked to create the report. I do know we have looked at one other community that did have an ordinance for invasive species or noxious weeds, and they actually weren't enforcing it. So they had some nice language on the books, I guess, but they weren't enforcing it, and they recognize that the cost of enforcement and the amount of invasive species or noxious weeds around everywhere throughout Southeast Michigan, or probably the state of Michigan, would be really a great burden for everyone to handle, both property owners and the city. To be honest with you, we would have to go through our parks and look at all the noxious weeds, which there are. I was reviewing the list, and there are, I don't know, probably over 50 noxious weed species, and to require us to review that, even for an overgrown property, for our own property, for a non-overgrown property, would be much too large of a burden for us to take on with our current staffing and funding levels.
Okay, so for those that don't know, SISMA is the Cooperative Invasive Species Management Area, and for Oakland County Parks is that for us. And I would really like to see that some of the research that goes into our ordinance, or to come back to us, would be to include what they would suggest, because it is a government-funded program to help manage invasive species, and they're helping governments and residents manage them. And then this would be closing that loop of government, where we're also helping with that management of invasive species. So I think, though, while it says in here that there's no action to be made, I just feel that there is a little bit more research that we should be doing, seeing what communities, if there's any ordinances on the books, what is that cost? What does it actually look like for maintenance? I think there's just a little bit more learning that we need to know before we can say that there's no action here. And I'd really, really like to have our partners tell us what those best practices are and see if we can actually manage them. Now, I understand that staff capacity might be limited, and so this could be kicked to the Environmental Advisory Board as something that they could look into a little bit more and bring back to us. But I think that, you know, we're trying to solve one problem, but we're impacting neighbors. We're causing more harm to our environment. While there are a few communities here that are listed that don't have anything, I think we can still lead in environmental spaces. So, you know, that's not helping me sway me. But I also want to, like, if we're telling residents to do one behavior, but we're not doing the behavior, I think we need to review that a little bit closer. So.
I would probably add that it's a great opportunity to discuss at the strategic planning session, to talk about where our resources go and how we manage them.
And Mr. Yee, maybe I'll make a comment as well. I feel like we have two separate issues here. One is really, like you said, a challenge to enforce and take care of, but, you know, we probably should brainstorm how, you know, at least we support and manage some of that. The other is when we're the ones that, by our ordinance, are charged with mowing, you know, either a abandoned or non-compliant property when grass goes over 8 inches. And so in some cases what we've seen, we've heard it on a couple of occasions, and I'm sure it's far more prevalent than just those two, where we actually we don't necessarily take care of the issue of the noxious weeds, but we actually, in some cases, depending on the weed, create, you know, a worse problem. So when I think about this as a matter of policy, not necessarily a matter of ordinance, is it unreasonable for us to do a quick check to see on the property that we're charged with mowing, to see if these noxious weeds are present? And if they are, we hire a contractor to remediate those weeds as, you know, guidance from the county would suggest on how to do that, or even inform how to do that. And then we add that to the bill, the cost of mowing, you know, that we would normally do, that would be part of the lien on the property.
So, that sounds great in theory. I think the problem that you have is having the expertise to know what you're looking at when you're looking at noxious weeds. As I mentioned, there's a huge list. There are a number of them. So we would almost need to pay a professional to go through each property, identify whether or not there are noxious weeds there, invasive species, and then determine the method for eradicating them, which in a lot of cases is chemical sprays and things like that. And there's also time of the year that some of them can be removed and eradicated. There are all kinds of things that go into this. It is not a one-size-fits-all solution. It's not like you can go into a yard and say, oh yeah, there's a weeds. Let's just, you know, find some method to bag them or harvest them. There are a lot of different methods and means and methods to eradicate these noxious weeds, and there are many different varieties of them. So while I would love to be able to just go in and find an easy solution to that, it's a lot more complicated than I think it seems like on the surface. And I would be willing to say that there are probably so many residents that have these noxious weeds that don't even know it, that are also doing the same activities that we would be doing. Maybe they're not letting it overgrow, but there are a lot of these noxious weeds throughout the city in different areas, and people are probably mishandling it without even knowing it.
Sure. But of the 50, I imagine there's a handful that are, you know, the magnification of mowing them is more problematic than the others, I would imagine. So it wouldn't be necessarily having to identify 50, but maybe there's 5 that are really problematic when you wholesale mow a yard if they're present.
I just think that makes it difficult to develop an ordinance. So unless you're specifically calling out specific species and how you handle those species, I think. So I just want to warn that it's not a one-size-fits-all solution, and I would welcome, you know, looking at people who've done a lot more research and know a lot more about these things. But I just want to warn that it's not a one-size-fits-all. There's a lot that goes into it, and I've learned a lot over the last, you know, day or so just looking at it and talking to Meg and kind of going through it. I know of a lot of them, but there's a lot more that I did not know about, that I've learned a lot just today.
Yeah,
So.
I think we're all learning, but I think we can all agree, you know, if you have a derelict property next door to you and the grass is growing and we come out and observe or not observe that there's certain types of noxious weeds there and we mow it, now all those seedlings go into your yard, and now what was a problem that was relatively contained has now been exasperated 1,000-fold. We can imagine that's something that, you know, if we have it in our ability to prevent. We're not going to be able to stop. We have 25,000 parcels in the city of Royal Oak. You're not going to be able to enforce this at a mass level. But I think if there's small things we can do to at least not, you know, add another hole in the bucket, I think that would be a wise policy thing to look at. We'll go with Commissioner Gontina, Commissioner Bastian, and then Commissioner Colo, and then Commissioner Hunt.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to, I guess, reiterate what Commissioner Herzog stated, in the sense that we need to model the behavior that we want to see from our residents. I think we do that in many ways. We did that with the Sustainability and Climate Action Plan in putting together a strategy of how we're going to move the city forward that sort of outlines the types of behaviors that we all need to embrace. And so it's not lost on me, this is a more complicated issue than it may seem on the surface, but I do think there's probably many more resources that we could touch on to try to come up with a solution that better models the behavior that we want to see. There probably are municipalities that do have ordinances that deal with this more directly and achieve the result that we're trying to achieve here. But I also think that timing is very important in the sense that we're in the process of going through a zoning ordinance update. And I think oftentimes when that conversation comes up, we think about development standards almost exclusively in that conversation. But the reality is, I think this conversation is highlighting that there may be some other areas of our ordinance that have a little bit of a gap in areas that are important to us, that we can spend a little bit of time researching and talking about to see if we can do a little bit better. Because to Commissioner Herzog's point, we may think that our ordinance is solving the problem that we're trying to solve, but in doing that, we are creating other problems, which to me begs the question of maybe let's just look a little bit deeper and see if we can do a little bit better.
Mr. Yee, thank you for making this presentation. I really appreciate your pinch hitting. And speaking directly with you and about you, I really appreciate your willingness to jump in and your willingness to learn. And your willingness to say on certain occasions that this may not be my specialty, but boy, I'm going to step in and I'm going to learn everything that I can as quickly as I can. That speaks to your character, and I appreciate it. As far as other communities around us may not be engaging in a certain practice, that doesn't necessarily mean that Royal Oak shouldn't. We are often looked to as a leader to other communities, and I certainly think that this may be an opportunity for us to take the lead in this. And Mr. Mayor, I appreciate your creative thinking as to, perhaps we're not looking at 50, perhaps we're looking at 5. And obviously, there's been some community engagement around this. There's some people that are interested. Something that I really love about Royal Oak in general is that we have such a diverse population with such expertise. We have the Environmental Advisory Board. We have people that are interested in things like this. Perhaps this is an opportunity for us to engage the community even further as to how we solve these issues.
I'll stay brief because there's a long line behind me still. Look, I appreciate that this isn't your thing, and I appreciate that Director Truba has an issue. She can't be here tonight. I think what we're kind of hearing up here right now is maybe there's some more to look at. I think that's going to be my overarching theme here. Is like there's maybe more to look at. I know staff's hearing it tonight. Let's see what we can come up with. Find a way to potentially do some sort of enforcement. I'll add a handful of years ago, someone had an issue with golden bamboo that their neighbor had planted, and it sprouted up in her yard and just completely took over, and she could not get rid of it. She spent years trying to get rid of it. I do think we need to find a way to have some sort of enforcement, and enforcement needs to be the burden on the property owner in some way. I think there's different levels of severity. Once you have that golden bamboo, when it moved over to the neighbor's yard, these little spikes of bamboo shoots would come up week after week after week, because if you just cut it, bamboo notoriously comes back very quickly. So I'm adding here, I would like to see golden bamboo added to our invasive species list. It's not on it currently. Something that through different administrations has been talked about, so I'd like to see that change in our ordinance when something happens. And then just ask staff to look at ways to, to the mayor's point, maybe harness some technology. I understand you can't have a specialist on board. Maybe there is photographs of the properties that could be taken, technology that might identify red flags right away. That could be an easy application there. So there's probably something out there. I'm not asking you to give us any answers right now, but keep on looking at it. Commissioner Hunt?
I echo my colleagues' sentiments as it relates to the ordinance and the additional education that I think staff and this board may need for purposes of moving in that direction. But I kind of want to move to the other side of this, and this is, education for the residents. I'm the liaison for the Community Engagement Board, and in this past spring, we held a very small but mighty workshop on invasive species as it relates to plants. And it was very educational, and I think from that exposed that there's more than, we were just looking at trees of heaven at that point, but it exposed that there are way more of these species in, Royal Oak that made us start looking at the Japanese knotwood and others. And that is going to be continued this fall. So for residents that are interested in learning how to curb this in their own backyard, I didn't realize I had Japanese knotwood in my yard. And I'm just cutting it down and it keeps coming back. And now I know how to properly eradicate it, safely eradicate it. And that's something that's going to be highlighted at this fall's workshop. So I would just encourage the residents to keep their eyes open for that, and possibly staff as well, if they're interested in learning how to properly get rid of these species. So, but thank you, Mr. Yee, for coming in and pitch hitting for Meg and bringing this forward to us. I appreciate it.
We have a long agenda tonight, and I feel like most of my points were hit on by my colleagues here, and I've had conversations with staff this week, so I will let it go at that for tonight.
Okay, anybody else? All right, this was a report, but I think what I heard tonight, notwithstanding the fact that I don't think we need to make any motions tonight, I think what we need to do is bring this into strategic planning. I think there's a little bit of a bigger picture here. We heard from public comment tonight from Ms. Carney about, you know, the opposite that occurred potentially. So I think that, you know, we talk about native species and we talk about noxious weeds and we talk about, you know, keeping yards maintained. I think we took a stab at it with the noxious weed ordinance back in the day. But like everything we do, it's a work in process, and I think we could probably make some improvements, but also we have to set some expectations, as Mr. Yee and Ms. Truba have pointed out. So let's keep our thinking caps on, bring it into strategic planning, and put it on the checklist there of something we need to address.
Sounds great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Yee. All right. Let's see, where are we at in the agenda now? We've moved some stuff around. I think that brings us to the Michigan Liquor Control Commission License Establishment public hearing on the request for Royal Oak. I keep Royal Eats Royal Oak. I'm just so used to reading Royal Oak all the time. All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. The Royal Oak Police Department received a request from Royal Eats Royal Oak LLC, doing business as Royal Eats Brunch and Dinner, to review a plan of operation for a new DDA redevelopment Class C liquor license to be located at 617 South Washington. The applicant is also requesting a Sunday AM and PM sales permit and STM permit. They're seeking approval while in the application process with the Michigan Liquor Control Commission. Royal Eats Brunch and Dinner has been operating as a restaurant in Royal Oak since December of 2025. The addition of this liquor license will allow the operator to service adult coffee drinks, mimosas, Bloody Marys, and other brunch-centric adult beverages, and allow them to serve beer, wine, and cocktails for their dinner service. Their anticipated food to alcohol ratio is 75% food to 25% alcohol. If approved, Royal Eats Brunch and Dinner will operate as a full-service bistro concept restaurant, table service, and a full-service bar. Aside from the alcohol sales, the only changes to the business are a new floor plan and barrier around their outdoor service area. The interior seating area is approximately 1,500 square feet and will have seating for 75 patrons, including 8 bar seats. Their outdoor service area is located on private property and will have seating for 24 patrons. They are not requesting an entertainment or dance permit. The Royal Oak Police Department looked at this closely and is not opposed to this request. I'm happy to take any questions from you, and the owner's attorney is present for questions as well.
All right, thank you, Lieutenant Kusel. Any questions? All right. Does the petitioner want to make a few remarks? You're not obligated to.
That's okay. I'm out here. I may as well say hello.
I always joke there's dozens of people watching at home, so it's a way to get the new concept out there.
I wanted to just thank the lieutenant for working with me. He's been excellent to work with. I think that the packet that I provided and that my client provided is pretty self-explanatory. Victor and his family have already built this restaurant out. They've made a commitment to the city. And he's told me that the issue that they've been having is, right now they're only open for dinner on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, but they have a hard time because people come in and they ask, can I get a bottle of wine? Can I get a cocktail? And no. And so even if 1 or 2 people out of a party of 6 or 7 or 8 come, they'll walk on to another location. So what they're trying to do is they're just trying to expand their menu a little bit. They're trying to be open for dinner This is actually the fifth, or I do a lot of liquor licensing work all over the state. This is like the fifth or sixth brunch restaurant that I've done a liquor license application for in the past year. People like mimosas with the scrambled eggs, bellinis, whatever. So that's all. This is a great license. I like that the city works with business owners in allowing them to apply for these licenses. I think that they're a great tool that that the state of Michigan has and the Liquor Control Commission has to work with communities and trying to improve their DDAs. I would like to just point out that they are, my client is committed to, they're actually reducing the number of seats that they have inside because the maximum that you can have with the city is 75, so they're actually reducing the number of seats to comply with that, as well as their outdoor seating. And they'll be able to expand the bar area a little bit because of that. But yeah, they're committed to this, and please and thank you. And if you have any questions, I can answer them, or at least try.
Questions? Commissioner Colo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a handful of questions. Can you tell us about the experience and background of the ownership of the restaurant?
Sure. Well, Victor is a full-time engineer, but his family has been in the restaurant business for a while. So his father and brother operate this on during the week, and then Victor shows up on Friday nights. It spends Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays there. So I do work with lots of different communities, and this is one of the communities where I got referred to them because other people in the community own restaurants, and this is one of the families that owns restaurants also. So they've been in the restaurant business. But Victor has only owned this restaurant for less than a year at this point.
Got it. It seems to be a great addition to downtown. It's very bright when you pass by it too. You can't miss the bright lights inside. And just looking at the plan of operation too, typically, reading this, when it comes to alcohol compliance, it mentions that staff would be tips and TAMs certified. I don't see that in this.
No, there is. Actually, I submitted a separate alcohol policy, and training is all in that. Lieutenant, that was included, wasn't it?
I do see a supplemental. I guess that was the question I would have for the
there was-
lieutenant. Is that included as part of the plan of operation?
In section 11, number 13, refers to tips and TAMs certification.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah, but there was a separate alcohol policy that all of the employees are going to have to go over and sign, because I work with most of my clients. We put something together so that they can make it part of their policies and procedures. Training is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Outdoor service policy is a big part of it. So, I mean, if you don't have it, Commissioner, I can forward you a copy of it. But yeah, it was in the packet.
Okay.
It will be covered.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate you all. And thank you, Lieutenant.
All right, so we have a recommendation in front of us. Oh, we got to do the public hearing for this one, don't we? Yeah. All right, so we're going to open up the public hearing. Same rules apply. City Commission public comment. Does anyone wish to come up and speak on this matter? Okay, we're going to close the public hearing, bring the meeting back to this side of the table. We have proposed motion. Commissioner Colo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think these licenses are a great economic tool in our downtown that not enough people take advantage of, quite frankly. And I move approval as presented.
We have a motion by Commissioner Colo. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Gantina. All right, discussion. I'll just say Commissioner Bastian and I had breakfast there just recently, and I think maybe a mimosa would have helped Commissioner Bastian take down those pancakes that were stacked so high.
Oh, thanks.
Might have done the trick? Okay.
Thanks for the invite, guys.
Well, we talked about it and we said no way. Don't take it personally, it was you. All right, no other discussion? All right, we'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. Congratulations. Look forward to seeing you at brunch.
Thank you very much.
Tell Victor we said hello.
I will. Thank you so much.
All right, so this brings us to social district approval for Harry Hospitality LLC doing business as Lily Seafood. Lieutenant? Or is this coming from Isaac? Doesn't matter.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor. I am by naming the agenda, but certainly will defer if there's anything to add. Just 5 quick facts for you to set it up, and then hopefully a quick action tonight. The social district was established in April 12th, 2021. All participating businesses have to sign a social district agreement with the city. And additionally, potential participating liquor license holders within the social district, they also need to be liquor license holders, that is, within the social district. And also the designated common areas, all streets and sidewalks within the social district, and designated parks or gathering spaces. And lastly, a map and a listing with all updated and revisions to the social district participants was provided to MLCC on August 20th. And I know that because I went through the listings and submitted the map so that we're fully up to date. And this would be simply because the transfer of ownership that we would be extending the social district to the new entity with Harry Hospitality. So urging approval, and in the future, in speaking with the chief, that we will bundle together any kind of transfer of liquor licenses with social district approvals at the same meeting. We apologize for being off cadence with this one.
No worries. Questions for Mr. Kremen? Commissioner Colo.
I move approval.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Colo, second by Commissioner Herzog. Discussion? I think it's pretty straightforward. It's a good addition. We got new ownership, but same familiar faces running it. So I think all's good here. Call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. All right. This brings us to item 13, which is municipal parking service, infrastructure removal and restoration, contract modification. Ms. Donahue.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. The previous MPS parking system equipment has been removed from the city, but several infrastructure components remain in our downtown area that are presenting hazardous conditions. These include items like exposed foundations, pay station bases, detection pucks in our pavement, and surface defects or irregularities. The Attorney's Office sent MPS a letter previously regarding all of these issues and their cost, but we recommend that the city take some action now with our own funds while we wait for this issue with MPS to work itself out. So staff from engineering and the parking division walked the downtown area, identified all the defect locations, and categorize them into 3 different levels of priority. So priority 1 being the most important, 2 and 3. So priority 1 are true trip hazards or areas that cars could easily run into something that they didn't see that may result in some sort of litigation or claim against the city. Priority 2 are a little bit less hazardous, but still a concern. They're in greenbelt areas where people might be getting out of cars and stepping into these things. And also the detection pucks that are within our pavement. Priority 3 are sidewalks that eventually we want to replace. They've been cracked or they've been saw cut. There's old posts that, cut flush, but they don't look very good. So those are things we want to also fix, but that can be done over a much longer period of time. They're not really hazardous, just aesthetically not pleasing. So we're recommending that priority 1 and 2 items be addressed now. We requested a quote from our city sidewalk contractor. The total for that work is just under $158,000. We have programmed an annual DDA sidewalk program for a small amount each year in the coming years, and that's how we plan to get through those priority 3 locations little by little each year. At the time of writing the commission letter, we were still waiting for the DDA to have their meeting this month to vote on this issue to see what funding they would be willing to provide. I kind of wrote the letter with the worst case scenario, assuming the DDA would fund priority 1, and we would need to come up with funds for priority 2, which we were going to use our general liability or the risk fund to cover that. Thankfully, the DDA last week met. They graciously agreed to fund both priority 1 and 2 work at their meeting. They are asking to be reimbursed once we settle things with MPS, if we have the funds to do so, that they get reimbursed for this cost. So with that in mind, you have two resolutions before you tonight. The first is simply to award the work to our contractor, L. Anthony. That resolution can stay as is. The second resolution is a budget amendment that shows where the funds are coming from for this work. As I mentioned, it was split between two different funds. We're just asking that instead we change that so that $157,700 is appropriated from the DDA fund and $0 from the general liability fund. So if this is approved tonight, contractor is ready to begin shortly after Art Speeds and Eats.
Any questions for Ms. Donahue? Commissioner Hunt, then Commissioner Teasum.
Thank you, Ms. Donahue. I understand that in July, our council sent a letter to MPS requesting the reimbursement or the payment for these repairs. Was there any response from them? And what are we pursuing that? Should we not receive a response from them so that that's not necessarily coming out of our pockets or the DDA's pockets?
I'm going to defer that to Mr. Grachowski.
If I may, Mr. Mayor. Thank you. Working with outside counsel who represented us on litigation, we sent a letter indicating that we were going to withhold any future remaining funds that would be reconciled with them that were remaining under the agreement because of these costs. Those funds, to answer your question directly, we have not received a response yet. It's going to take some time, as you probably can recognize with the MPS, to figure out where the parties lie. It could result in litigation. I don't know, but the idea was because of the damages, we're withholding funds that we would technically owe them at the end of the contract that we're not going to pay them, which don't come close to covering. They may cover phase 1 and maybe 2, but not 3. So there's a large difference there. So eventually we'll have to make some other decisions, which we'll have to talk about outside of public meeting.
And was part of the exit from MPS, was there any stipulation that they would not remove this equipment and leave some trip hazard or hazard to the city?
So if I may, Mr. Mayor, when we drafted the settlement agreement from that litigation, we specifically used language that indicated MPS was required to remove not only their equipment, but all the foundations, basically restore the bases where their infrastructure was located back to the original condition. They did not do any of that. They just ripped their stuff out and left.
Thank you.
Commissioner Teasum.
Thank you. Yeah, my questions were also around MPS and their fiscal responsibility here for this. So building off of the foundation that Commissioner Hunt's questions just gave us. So if we approve this this action and this funding source, and then we do end up withholding money from MPS, would those funds then be restored back into these accounts? Or I'm imagining that's a better legal pathway than just paying for these upfront. Is that a correct assumption?
Correct.
As the non-lawyer
That
up
would
here?
be the assumption I would make at the end of the day. That's a budget and finance and city manager policy question, but at the end of the day, any funds that we retain that would be otherwise due to them, would have been used or should be used towards the restoration that they should have done to begin with when they removed their equipment.
Yeah, and that's my follow-up question, because I think you're talking about how the settlement agreement or more recent conversations with MPS, we communicate the expectation that they return our sidewalks and our infrastructure to the conditions in which they were found before the equipment went in. I am wondering about what kind of conversations took place when we entered the agreement those years ago about they put the equipment in. Was there any conversation there at that point? You weren't here.
I wasn't here. Yeah. I would not have recommended that contract to begin with, but nonetheless, bottom line is when we were in litigation fairly recently, and when we exited that litigation, that settlement, we at that time added additional language to make it abundantly clear they were required as a part of removal to remove and restore. So Whether or not it was in the original agreement, doesn't matter. We made sure it was in the settlement agreement to make sure we checked that box for us.
And so I think there's lots of lessons that we learned from MPS. And I think it's good to if we, as we move through things and make decisions and see consequences from them, having some learning from that having these conversations from the beginning to make sure those expectations are very clear from the beginning, so we know where those costs are coming from.
Couldn't agree more. I'm doing it every day.
Anybody else? Commissioner Colo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. To Commissioner Cheesham's point, as someone who was here when that contract was being presented, they were like snake oil salesmen, and their snake oil, I'm sure they said that they would repair and replace and didn't put in the contract because that's everything MPS did. They were a terrible partner from day one who did not fulfill any of their obligations to make our city better. I cannot say it more emphatically how happy I am that they're finally gone. They were terrible from day one and never gave us anything that we needed out of their system. And I'm in no way surprised that they've continued to not be a good partner when it came to the removal of their items, because they have not lived up to one of their obligations from, once again, day one. So with that being said, though, I'm very happy for the DDA and their ability and willingness to step up right now and help fund priority 1 and 2 areas to make the city safe and start to beautify it again from the junk that MPS left in the ground. So I want to thank the DDA for that help and move approval of the resolution to award the work to the contractor and approval of the budget amendment of reflecting all funds come from the DDA fund.
Got a motion by Commissioner Cole. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Cheesham. Discussion? Well, I think this will take a little time to play out. We're holding back some funds. It'll take care of priority 1, priority 2. We have a settlement agreement which does say that they have to restore everything to normal. I imagine they hired a contractor to do this. They probably have some clawback with their contractor, and those things just take some time. And, if we have to go litigate, we litigate. We're not afraid of litigation. We've been to the Supreme Court, baby, 1-0. So we've shown our propensity to fight battles that we need to fight. So, all right. With that, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. All right. This brings us to item 14. Mr. DeCamp is here to walk us through approval of amendments to our fiscal year 2027 budget.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. So I'm going to go through the general fund items, which will then explain most of the others and then kind of fill in the blanks. So starting with the first revenue item, interest revenue. So we were able to add an extra $1 million to the budgeted revenues by, instead of allocating interest to all the internal service funds, which is optional, we're going to no longer do that, and then thereby the interest will stay in the general fund. And in addition to that, the interest revenue was benefited by kind of updated projections. We, during budget development, it still looked like there may be budget interest rate cuts at the Fed level. Now it's looking like a likely increase, at least 1, maybe 2 this year. So we were able to revise those projections upward slightly. And then going down to the miscellaneous revenue, refund of OPEB contributions in 2025, there was...
Hey, Tony, can you turn your mic on? It might be off.
I apologize. All right, there we go. So on the miscellaneous revenue refund of OPEB contributions, there was $1,090,000 that was contributed. That was the general funds portion to cover OPEB costs for 2025, but then we received a revised OPEB actuarial that said that we did not need to make those contributions. There was not a clawback previously, so we're doing that now. This was originally budgeted to go directly to the capital project fund. In order to reflect that it's actually general fund dollars and a general fund contribution, I'm asking for the amendment to have the refund come to the general fund first, and then it will go to the capital project fund. Similarly, in the motor pool fund, there's going to be a refund of contributions, basically an excess net asset distribution, that the general fund's portion is the $2.3 million. There will be equal, an equitable refund to each fund, but this represents, again, the general fund portion. So I just want it showing, memorializing that it's the general fund's contribution to the capital project fund. So those two, the OPEB contribution and the motor pool refund, were always intended to go to the capital project fund. This just shows that it's general fund first, then over to the capital project fund. The next item, which was part of the net of the transfers in that changed, it's the $1.5 million transfer from the auto parking fund. After further analysis, it was determined that if this was made, it would actually result in a deficit elimination plan being needed to be filed with the state. In order to avoid that, I wanted to reverse the transfer so that there's no question we will be able to avoid that. So moving on down to the expenditures. The next couple items, you'll see a theme throughout the amendment. It's the IT service charge and the property and casualty insurance service charge. So these are internal charges for those funds that we were able, on the IT, we were able to reduce the amount of expenditures that were budgeted in that fund, thereby reducing the internal charge from the general fund, from the public safety fund, and all other funds. And then in property and casualty, we were able to factor in the annual net asset distribution to reduce the amount of contributions from all funds. So those two combined resulted in a savings of just over $400,000 to the general fund. Then on to the transfers to public safety. That was reduced by just over $1 million, and that represented the reduction in the public safeties, IT, and property and casualty insurance charge, as well as originally we budgeted to have a contribution to the public safety fund balance while using quite a large number for the general fund. So this revised downward the contribution, like it's now a small contribution of $25,000, $26,000 projected, whereas we're still going to be having planned use of fund balance in the general fund. So it gets us a little closer to even ground there, but saves again quite a bit of the transfer out. Then the other transfers out, so there was the $3.3 million to capital projects fund, which is the OPEB reimbursement and the motor pool distribution. So those two combined represent that exact amount going right back out to the capital projects fund. And then the recreation fund was budgeted to have transfers from both the general fund and the ARPA enabled fund. And in order to avoid a deficit elimination plan, we were able to revise that number down. Instead of needing about 1.6 million, it really will only need about 540,000. So the general fund will still be the contributor to the recreation fund, while the ARPA enabled funds will all be going into a capital project fund. And so what we end up getting is a net change to the use of fund balance of a reduction in that use of fund balance of $1,165,000. And then briefly on the other funds, so the capital project fund will actually get about $750,000 more, and that's largely representative of that reduced transfer from instead of the ARPA fund giving it to recreation, it will come into the capital projects. Major streets, we had an error in the budget. It was showing that the 5th Street improvement was going to be funded by major streets. That was never the intent, so that's simply a revision to get that out of there and reflect it in the DDA, as was always planned. And then there was one more that I wanted to touch on. I think it was just that the recreation will now be getting the $572,000 instead of the original $1.6 million. So, and if there are any questions about any of that or any other part of the amendment, I'll be happy to field them.
Questions for Mr. DeCamp? I'll just say thank you. I appreciate the reports as well. They're easy to look at, walk through, and understand, why and how some things change. Sometimes it's just better management. Sometimes it's real things happening. So thank you for walking us through it.
Thank you.
Commissioner Colo?
I'll say that, I appreciate you, Mr. DeCamp, and your team. I know this is kind of a different budget year this year, a little bit different process. So I appreciate these amendments to kind of get us back to maybe how we typically see things. I look forward to our budget process again next year. But with that being said, I move approval of these amendments.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Colo, a second by Commissioner Bastian. Discussion? All right, with none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. All right, this brings us to item 15 tonight, which is approval of expenditures for emergency repairs at John Lindell Ice Arena and budget amendment.
Thank you, and good evening again, Mayor and City Commission. Two critical building systems at the John Lindell Ice Arena were found to be in immediate need of repair. The west rink had a floor crack and heave and the dehumidifier that services both the west and east rinks ice surfaces at the arena were not functioning properly. Both repairs are necessary for the ice arena to function properly and safely and are considered emergency repairs. Neither were budgeted for the fiscal year 26-27 capital improvement budget. Repairing and replacing these items has required a several week-long process, and the repairs were urgent due to timing, as the facility usage is lower in the early summer before regular or scheduled ice usage begins. The arena is busier beginning in August, and the timeliness of the repair reduces the impact on the revenues from hockey leagues and other programming. So I'll just clarify that, as we had wanted to get these repairs done before the beginning of August. The city manager Marcus had said these are emergencies, we need to get them repaired. We had started this process some 5 or 6 weeks ago, hoping to have it repaired by the beginning of August. Clearly that didn't work out. The parts that were supposed to be here 3 or 4 weeks ago did not arrive. They still have not arrived. They did tell us that this week they're supposed to be here. They're overnighting them to us, so we expect that, there's one part in particular that we need to finish the repair, and we expect that to be here this week. The details of the repairs include repairing the main refrigeration line that runs from the compressor room along the west rink to the header at the center ice arena, where the refrigerant then runs back and forth under the surface. That main line is covered with insulation, but over the years, if that insulation gets wet, it can cause heaving and damage. In this instance, the ground around these lines had frozen and eventually forced the concrete to heave and crack. This repair was necessary and urgent, as the heaving and cracking would have continued to grow and cause further damage. The dehumidifier for the ice rinks acts to pull cold, moist air out of the rinks, heat and dry it, and then pump it back into the system. If the dehumidifier is not functioning properly, it creates condensation on the glass and on the ceiling. This results in dripping condensation from the ceiling, causing dangerous ice dabs on the surface, which in turn will make dangerous ice conditions for all users of the facility, which was described by a lot of our residents and users of the facilities tonight. The Facility Maintenance Division worked with the arena manager to solicit quotes for these two projects, and the table below illustrates the responses. The west floor crack and heave bids range from $30,256 up to $136,915. And for the dehumidification unit, we had a bid of $119,430 and $160,461. We have used Service Refrigeration to perform the west floor heave and crack repair, and Delta Services Temp is currently working on the dehumidification unit. The Delta Temp is our current HVAC contractor, and again, they've ordered the parts and are just waiting for them to come in. The ice arena operates through an enterprise fund. Contractually, the city is responsible for any maintenance costs and repairs to the facility. The total expenditure required is $149,686, of which a budget amendment for that amount is requested. The revenue impact is that the revenues from skating and other programming will be temporarily impacted while the repairs are being addressed. We hope to get that changed here by the end of this week. We are requesting that the emergency repair be approved as presented, and that a budget amendment be approved from the enterprise fund, from the Ice Arena Enterprise Fund balance to fund the project. A couple things I did want to just mention, because we heard a lot from residents and users of the facilities, is that we did have a facility assessment done of the facility, and so we do in all city facilities, and we have been budgeting for a lot of these items, and the dehumidifier in particular was budgeted for a couple years from now, so it was not, and it was listed as fair condition in the assessment. So its breaking down was somewhat unexpected, that it was going to completely fail, but obviously it did, and we needed to get it repaired. This is not a Band-Aid fix, it's a long-term fix, and this dehumidifier will last forever with proper maintenance. I think one of the positives I do want to bring up is Connie Folk is our facilities operator, and she is incredible at this. She has a history with ice arenas in particular, and that's where she started in Birmingham. So she's done ice rink facilities for a long time. She was very familiar with what the issues were. She actually, where the ice rink was heaving, there was a repair done adjacent to that in years past. She actually found where water was coming in and going under the floor, which over time causes that insulation to get wet and causes the heaving. She found, and we repaired a leak because she knew there had to be something, and she was diligently tracing and finding it. She's really been incredible to work with, and we're lucky to have her. And I am very confident she's going to develop a long-term maintenance program for not just the ice rink, but for all city facilities. So again, I think we're lucky to have her. I wanted to point that out. I think that's important to know that we have someone who is looking out for the long-term maintenance of all of our facilities. So with that being said, we do have also Nikki here from Recreation to talk or to add anything about the facility or the contract or any other questions that you may have. Did you want to say anything to start?
Yeah, I'll just real quick echo Kevin's comments about Connie. Connie's been amazing, our facilities superintendent, being the project manager for this alongside Suburban. In particular, this part that we have been waiting on, initially we thought this would be a 3-week project. It's now been over 6 weeks. So initially we, didn't plan on having to close this facility at all. We had, the west rink was down because of the floor heave repair. That floor heave repair is completed. We're just waiting on this dehumidifier part. Connie has been calling daily to the supplier to try to get this part here. She's even threatened to go fly over to New Hampshire to go pick it up herself. So, we expect it to be here this week so that we can get the ice properly up and running in the east rink, and then it'll take a few days for the west rink to get back up and running as well. So we hear you, and we're hoping to get this ice arena open as soon as possible to prevent further disruption to programming. And we're happy to answer any questions anyone has about, Suburban's contract or anything else with the ice arena.
So if I understand it correctly, we did a facility assessment on the ice arena.
Correct.
In the dehumidifier case, it came back as fair. So, we had it in the plan, but it didn't appear at the time to be an immediate need based on other priorities. But it's binary, right? 0 or 1. It breaks, it either works or it doesn't. So it's not half working. It's one of these things, when it goes, it goes. And so we immediately jumped on it, and we tried to get this thing fixed as soon as possible, but we have a supply chain issue with a key component. Did I understand that correctly?
That's correct. The dehumidifier replacement, full replacement, is in the CIP for 28-29. The FCA results estimated we would get another, two-ish years out of it, with replacement recommended within 2 to 5 years. So that was put into the CIP for 28-29. So with this repair, though, like Kevin mentioned, we're expecting to buy ourselves a lot more time. The replacement cost of the dehumidifier was going to be around $400,000. So doing this repair for $119 is hopefully going to buy us several more years of life out of that unit.
And we planned this based on the ice arena as an enterprise fund, correct? So we take revenues in from all the skating activity, and we put some away as we estimate for future repairs, maintenance, things of that nature, correct? So we have a fund balance, and we plan based on facility assessments to say, oh, okay, well, we're going to replace this thing for $400,000 in so many years, and if it happens before that, there's a change in what we spend in terms of the ice arena fund, correct?
It is an enterprise fund. Now, the fund balance in the enterprise fund has been dwindling over the past 10 years because every time we do a capital project, it comes out of that fund balance. So you can see the years in the history, which years we did those projects, it cuts into that fund balance. So all in all, it is an enterprise fund, so it's expected to recuperate its expenses year to year. It's not always able to do that given capital costs. And with the FCA, we have some really good data from a third party that has provided recommendations over, up to 2045 with, what those maintenance needs are going to be so that the city can better plan. So that's a really good tool for us moving forward for all of our facilities.
And we have put in, I know this was news to me. I heard some things at public comment that were concerning, but now getting your explanation, I feel a little bit better. But we have put investment into, I remember we did a brand new roof because the roof was leaking. We did a paint job. We've done some other repairs, right?
Yeah, I don't have a list of the recent, over the last several years of projects, but there has been capital projects within the ice arena. Most recently we had there was another floor heave issue that was mentioned earlier this evening on the West Rink. That was a major repair a couple of years ago. That was probably the most substantial one. There's been others Kevin may be able to speak to, like the locker room had a minor repair. Yeah, I know.
Neither of us have been here for longer than a year and a couple of years. So
yeah.
We don't have much history on the repairs that were done previously, other than the assessment going forward. So.
Yeah, I know from a capital improvement planning, every year we have to make decisions as a commission. I know we've made approvals of sizable, I just can't remember offhand either, and I've been here 14 years. But I thought we put a roof in just a few years ago. We had a major leak in the roof. We had some other things we had to do. And do we rely a lot on Suburban to alert us to conditions in the rinks so we have the ability to act or react?
I've been here 2 years now, and I meet regularly with Suburban. They also send us monthly reports as part of their agreement with the city. Since I've been here, I've made a point to engage our facility operators within the capital improvement process and the budget process to make sure that they're advising us on what they're seeing day to day in the facilities. This FCA, the Facilities Conditions Assessment, is also going to be a great tool. So I expect this fall, when we gear up to do the capital improvement planning again, it's going to be Connie Folk, our facilities superintendent, myself, and Suburban all working together to update that CIP going into next year. It'll just be an ongoing tool we use each year to update that CIP before the budget process. You all have the difficult decision of deciding where it goes after the CIP, of course, right? I don't envy any of you with that, but having Connie on board especially, and with the FC, I think we're going to be in a really good place for planning going forward.
Okay, good. And just, and I hate to put you on the spot with numbers, do you know how many folks, individuals use the ice arena, like number of figure skating, number of hockey players, both adult and youth? Any idea?
If there's a different question, I can try to look that up for you really
Sure.
quick. If there's other questions.
Let me rethink my question and give you a minute. Is that
It's
anyone-
it's actually 9,000 hours, 9,000 hours of ice time every year.
9,000 hours of ice time. Okay.
I know that from an email Ms. McCutcheon sent to me as part of the Parks and Rec Board earlier this year.
Okay, well, she's getting that number. Do we have another question? Commissioner Colo?
Thank you. So first I want to recognize everyone in the audience, right? I think there's a lot of passion to this, clearly a lot of use of the ice, and a lot of community. It's great. We're here at the term third place tonight. And the ice has been a really important third place for people. So I just want to recognize that, and thank everyone for being civil and coming out and having a good conversation with us. So I do want to highlight a couple things. I was looking at the CIP, and to Mr. Yee's and Ms. McCutcheon's credit, in 21, the CIP identified 35,000 of repairs, 22, 145,000, 23, 10, but then up to 25 and went to 1.4 million, and then almost 1.6 million in 26, 27. So clearly, we brought on some staff who identified, went in and found some issues with the facility. Because for the longest time, we had only been presented, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of repairs, and now it looks like staff has started to dig into it and started to really identify some needs that we have at the facility. And I think that's really important to recognize. The CIP, though, is a multi-year list of things that are going to happen throughout. I think ours is a 5+ year plan. And I think one thing to look at that CIP also, you have to look back at the amount of money that we spend on the ice arena. So then I went and looked at the budgets from that same amount of time. In 2021, beyond the revenue, we spent $1 million in expenses. 21, 22 is the only time in the last 6 years that the ice arena made money of $50,000. But between 20 to now, the ice arena, the city has subsidized it to about 1.6 million. So we have continued to invest out of our funds into that budget. And I think that's important. This has been a priority for us. We've continued to invest. But now we see we have some deficits coming up. And I think some of the next steps we need to start talking about are how do we fund those gaps? Because, looking at the facility study, these gaps are only going to grow. Someone came up to public comment tonight and talked about facilities and their professional dealings with that. And if you don't maintain, it only gets worse. But maintenance costs a lot of money up front also. So I think, one question I'm going to have for staff is, do we have a plan on how we want to fund the CIP and fund the projects in the CIP for the ice arena moving forward? Because just the current fee structure will not cover it, right?
So historically, we can look at our performance within the ice arena fund, and you're correct that the revenues can typically not cover the capital costs. Long term, the capital needs for the ice arena, I don't have the answer for that. We can look at fees. We can look at the management agreement with Suburban. It does expire in June. It's an expensive facility to operate, but in general, the facility conditions assessment is going to give us what that number will look like over time, so we have a rough idea. Coming up with those millions of dollars over time is going to be a difficult amount to recuperate through fees alone. So, there's going to be potentially some investment needed from the city at some point, but how we get to that number, I'm not sure. That's going to be maybe another discussion for strategic planning with the commission in the future. I'm not sure what setting we should have that discussion. I don't know that we'll solve it tonight, but it's important to look at that question for this facility, but our others as well, because there's other facilities that have needs too.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but I do think, we're definitely not going to solve it tonight, but I do think we need to have some answers on what that fee schedule would even look like to accomplish our goals in the CIP, as this is an enterprise fund. We are already, like I said, the last 5 years, we subsidized it to 1.6 or 1.7 million. So continue at that same subsidization rate, because I think we're okay at the amount we're
Plus new
subsidizing right
CIP.
now. Now look at the CIP. So I guess I would ask Mr. Marcus, to, over the next several months, ask staff to develop what's, 3 different scenarios. Let's look at what, without building the capital fund, what does the fee schedule look like? What does it look like if we have, say, extra $200,000 a year in reserves? So we could continue, because after we get through this 5-year cycle, there's going to be more stuff to do. So we have to start saving up for the next cycle, or $300,000 in reserves. So I think that's a fee schedule that we need to start putting together, and we need to start figuring out revenue streams, and it's not necessarily only a fee schedule, but what revenue streams do we need to have to support that? Because that's our job, right? Like we have to take in what's coming, what funds we have available for that to decide how we're going to invest. And I think knowing, we need to have staff to develop a plan for that. I think that's critical as we continue to invest in this community asset. I do have a couple more questions about the repairs itself, though. Getting to those for a second here. Looking through all these documents, this looks like a problem that started back in April, or at least was identified as repair needed back in April.
Yeah, I would say I was made aware of the extent of the issues in May. So
late spring?
Sure, yeah.
I guess my question is why, here we are late August, so early fall, the city commission hasn't heard about this at all until our emails started to get flooded with concerned residents.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's because, we're hands up, we're policymakers, we're not day-to-day operators. But I guess I'm asking, why wasn't the city commission involved in at least approving some of these expenditures? The charter is pretty clear that expenditures over $30,000 need to be approved by the commission. And I understand, emergency aspect of it, but if it happened in May and it's being repaired in August, it sounds like, several meetings where we could have been brought into the loop here.
So when I was first made aware of the biggest issues in May, I have a memo from Suburban dated May 29th. And at that time, we were still collecting quotes from vendors. There's not a lot of vendors out there that do this type of work in Metro Detroit. So in June, we were still collecting quotes. And then the decision for delaying commission approval was we weren't sure what the final costs were going to be once they pulled open the floor heave in particular. We took the low bid on that one, and we hoped for the best, but often with construction projects, things can come in much higher once constructions come in. So given the emergency nature of it, because we wanted to limit any kind of potential closure, we wanted to get this project started as soon as we possibly could. And so that was kind of the decision process for the delay for taking it to commission, those two things.
Okay, well, I definitely appreciate trying to keep it moving forward, but there's no emergency provision in our charter. So I worry about that, involve us with this stuff. And then, to that point also, I think had it been brought to us, I might have asked questions about the dehumidifier. You correctly identified that it's being replaced. It was set to be replaced in 2 years. What does this repair do? And what was the cost benefit analysis that came on? Because I think there could have been a discussion about, instead of paying $120-ish, paying the $400 to replace it, if it's going to get us another 30 years as opposed to 5 or 10.
Yes, and I appreciate that, because I asked the same question, and I was assured by county folk that if we properly maintain this dehumidifier and the repairs that are done to it, it'll last forever. So it's a matter of being able to maintain it and not needing a replacement, but to do the repairs to it and then do the maintenance. So that is the goal of the repair, is to just be able to do the proper maintenance on it and be able to make it last, for years. She had said in the Birmingham Ice Arena where she had worked at, that I think the dehumidifier in there was 50 or 60 years old, and they were just able to maintain it and keep it running. So I don't think there's anything bad in it if you just, not anything bad in it, but I don't think there's not anything that would have to be scrapped in its entirety as much as just being maintained properly.
Okay. Yeah, I think we could ask questions too about, there's also probably a cost-benefit trade-off of the efficiency of an old unit versus a new unit. But I do appreciate that this would extend the lifetime forever, apparently.
As I've been told.
As you've been told, and now it's on TV, so it must be true. Okay. So yeah, I appreciate the work of getting it done. So that's my serious questions right now.
Commissioner Herzog, then Commissioner Gantino.
Thank you. I have a few questions. So with these fixes, what we heard tonight and what's most concerning for me is the safety of the skaters. So with these fixes, there will no longer be buckets that they have to skate around. The ice will be, it'll be safe for them to resume doing.
Correct. The issue with that is that there's no dehumidification, so moisture gets in the ice arena. It attaches to it gets attached to the beams and it starts dripping. And so that's the issue that they've had with it. It's not a roof leak, it's dehumidification, or it's a humidification problem. And that's causing moisture to drip on and causing cones of ice on the ice surface. They're setting up the buckets to prevent the cones from forming and let you know where they're at, but it's not the proper way to do it. We need a dehumidification system to stop the humidification in its entirety and allow a safe surface.
Yeah, okay. And then can you run through who's responsible for what? We have Suburban as our management. Can you tell me what we are responsible for and what they're responsible for?
Sure. So, great question. So, since 2011, we've been with Suburban within a management agreement. So, for management agreements, we pay the operator to operate the facility. So we pay Suburban an $86,000 management fee, plus we pay Suburban's payroll. This comes to approximately $1.1 million per year for them to operate the facility on the city's behalf, including all their staffing. So the entire expenses for the facility are around $1.9 million per year. So it's more than half is for Suburban to operate it on our behalf. There's also an incentive for Suburban. If the facility nets $150,000 in profit, they get an additional 8% of that net profit. The last time this happened was 2017. So all in all, it's an enterprise fund. So all the expenses for the ice arena, as well as all the revenues for the ice arena, flow through a city fund. So I sign off on every single invoice that goes through. Suburban is the one ordering the services. Like if we need the Zambonis maintained, or we need propane for the Zambonis, they're the ones actually ordering those services, ordering this equipment and supplies, paying their staff day to day. I'm signing off on those invoices every single week. So I review those, and I meet with the operator regularly to communicate. They're ultimately responsible for the day-to-day operations of the facility, but it's all still city funds. So while they help us maintain it and making sure that things are serviced properly throughout the year, it's still ultimately coming out of a city budget for day-to-day maintenance. Capital costs as well are city responsibility.
Okay, and so did they flag the safety issues at the ice rink?
Yes.
And they've been continuing to do that?
Yes.
When did they start flagging safety issues at the ice rink?
So the safety issues for the closure purposes?
Or just the fact that there's buckets on where people are skating, actually makes me really concerned. So when were those things flagged?
as far as making it a closure decision, that was flagged.
But before closure, because any kid could like skate, bust their knee, their ankle. Like, how do we? This isn't I'm not a skater, so I'm guessing here. But there should be just before you get to the emergency of closing down the facility, there is probably a level of safety that all students should expect, or any user should expect. Were they flagging those things to us?
We were made aware of the issues with the dehumidifier in late May, but at that point it wasn't an issue where we were concerned with the safety being such an issue where we were going to impact programming. Okay, so there's a certain point where it became, hey, we cannot run programs safely anymore. And so that's when, I had the conversation with Suburban and we made the decision August 14th to go ahead and close.
Okay.
Before that, it wasn't to a point where we felt it was unsafe for people.
Okay. And, but they are the ones that determine that, or are we the ones that determine that?
Suburban would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then at public comment tonight, someone talked about Farmington Suburban. There's other Suburbans.
Yeah, so Suburban operates their own rinks, and then they also operate City of Novi's rink for the City of Novi.
And so are they having the same issues that we are as far as funding it, maintaining it, being aware of alerts? Like, are we learning from these other ice rinks? Because they should be all having the same problems that we are. Like, we're not, this isn't new to us.
It's these facilities require a lot of ongoing maintenance, and if the maintenance is not done every single year with these big capital projects.
So, okay, I get what you're saying. So, yes, if we had tons of money, we could fix this problem very easily. But Novi's doing it. So how is Novi doing it, but Royal Oak can't do it? How is Farmington doing it, but Royal Oak can't do it? How do we ensure safety and funding maintenance?
Yeah.
How are we not doing it, but everyone else is doing it? So is there a regional conversation happening? I guess this leads into like what Commissioner Colo was talking about, is like, how do we think innovatively about funding? Because we know that this is a community asset. We know that we want to have this, but for some reason we're failing where other communities may not be, or maybe everyone is failing. So are we talking about these assets regionally in Parks and Rec? Are we thinking about how to fund these things at a regional level?
So ice arenas are very similar to pools in that they typically require heavy city subsidy in terms of those ongoing maintenance costs. I wouldn't say that there's another example of an ice arena that is performing much better than us. There may be some, but typically there's a pretty sizable capital investment ongoing in these facilities.
And Commissioner Herzog, I'll help answer that question as well. I had an exchange with with Justin Shore, Mayor of Novi, about their ice arena. And like we've seen around here, like at public comment, like Berkeley, everybody had shut them down or sold them to private organizations because of exactly what Ms. McEarshin is talking about, and they are having a similar discussion kind of in Novi right now. There's some additional complications, but they are trying to justify the amount of subsidies that are going to the ice arena there, and can they afford it as a city for the people that use it. So this is exactly what he's saying.
What we were hearing at public comment, people were coming from all over. It's not just Royal Oak residents that need this ice. We got Troy, Sterling Heights, Southfield, and so I'm wondering if there's a conversation that needs to happen regionally so that we can maintain these assets, but everyone's pitching in for them. And I don't know if there is like a convener of someone doing that. But I also think that we should be learning lessons between all of these things too, and then try to solve our problems. And I don't know if that conversation is happening either. And then my last point is that if the suburban management contract is up in 2027, are we planning on going for an RFP?
It would be my recommendation to do one simply because there hasn't been one in a while, and just, it's good due diligence to periodically do an RFP just to see what else might be out there.
And when do you think you'll plan on posting that?
I don't have it in front of me, but, I've worked with our purchasing coordinator and finance to sort of slate out some dates. We typically work backwards from when a contract expires, so it would be sometime early in 2027.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Gantino?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to start by echoing Commissioner Colo's sentiments and acknowledge everyone that came out to speak tonight. It certainly helped enlighten me to understand how important this facility is, not only to our community, but what was particularly compelling to me is the number of young members of our community that came out to speak tonight. It's a late meeting now, but they chose to take one of their fleeting, free summer evenings to come speak about this topic. And so I want to commend you for sort of embodying what community is all about. We have a great community, in my view, in many respects, due to the fact that we have little communities like this that come out and advocate for the things to help us understand what makes our broader community so great. But my question is around this third-party operating agreement. Commissioner Herzog actually asked quite a few that helped me understand it, but I'm still a little bit unclear in terms of what internal check mechanisms that we have with these third-party operators in terms of their requirements of reporting or what accountability that they have to help inform us of preventative maintenance items, safety items. Obviously, this is somewhat of an emergent item in terms of this dehumidifier going down, but it's more of a broader question around again, what sort of accountability these third-party operators have in aiding the city to prevent things like this. You mentioned a monthly report that they give, but what I just don't know in the minutia of the contract language is what they're sort of required, what information they're required to give to us to help prevent this. What interaction do they have with the conversations around the CIP? Or do they have any? Are they absolved of any accountability or responsibility, and is it solely on us as a city? I don't know if that question's for you, Mr. Gachowski, or who's going to.
I'll start, and if anybody else wants to add anything, feel free. But they're responsible for the day-to-day operations. They do help with budget planning. So when we start the CIP process, I've included them in that process, alongside the FCA results and their recommendations. And then, of course, this year with Connie Folk being on board, that's going to be a really great asset for us planning this next round. So they start there with the CIP. They're definitely involved in those recommendations. As far as the budgeting for maintenance, there's maintenance lines within the Ice Arena Fund. So they make recommendations on what goes in every single budget line within the Ice Arena Fund. So I work directly with the suburban staff to determine what to put into the city budget request for the Ice Arena Fund every year.
Okay, but I guess my question's more around their operating agreement itself, and is there language in there that compels them to inform us, communicate with us, and help us plan for preventative maintenance or operational items long term to help avoid things like this? I know that they give input in CIP projects and things, but I guess my question is, are they required to help identify these things as time goes on? Or does that language not really exist in their agreement where they try to help, but they're really not compelled to help?
Yeah, I would have to take a closer look, to see what the language is. I've got it in front of me, but all in all, it benefits Suburban for the city to maintain this facility properly. So they are very much incentivized to work with us to make sure that things are maintained properly, right? So at the end of the day, they're the ones that are customer facing. They're the ones in the facility every single day. So of course they would want the facility to be in the best condition that it can be. Now, if at the end of the day, the budget's just not available to do everything in the CIP that we would like to do, and it has to be deferred, that's out of that's out of everybody's control, right, to an extent, including Suburban. So they advise the city on what to put in the CIP, and they advise the city on what to put in the budget requests. But I'm not sure if there's specific language on them helping with the long-term planning. I don't recall any off the top of my head. I'm not sure if our city attorney has any thoughts on that specific question.
Mr. Mayor, I'm not familiar terribly with the thousands of different agreements and contracts we look over, but certainly makes sense. If it's not in there, I think we're going to take the opportunity to clean that up like we have been cleaning up a lot of our contracts when they come up for renewal or rebid. And this just is one that we've maybe not been able to get to in my short tenure here, but we are working on it, and it makes complete and utter sense to make sure that's in there. If it's not already, and it could be, but I don't know exactly, but it will be.
I appreciate that, because that's actually more to the answer, or more to the answer I was looking for, in the sense that we have a lot of third-party agreements. And I think in all of those agreements, there needs to be something along the lines of what we just discussed, because these are the operators that should be helping us make sure those facilities are, operating at the top level. So, all right, thank you.
Mr. Cheatham?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for being here tonight and sharing some of the details of Suburban agreement and all those aspects of this issue. I am feeling a little bit dissatisfied with the safety concerns that popped up and the timeline there. So I kind of want to dig in a little bit more there because we've talked about the buckets. What really worries me is the buckets in combination with fog seem like a really bad combination and just really setting up unsafe circumstances. And you mentioned that Suburban is incentivized to maintain, have it in as good a quality condition as possible, but they're going to lose money when we close. And so I'm a little bit concerned that those buckets and fog were there for a while, perhaps before we found out about, certainly before we found out about it, but perhaps before you found out about it, because Suburban wanted to stay open to keep generating revenues. So I'd like us to, if not tonight, I would like us to dig into when did buckets start going onto the ice? When did you learn about them? And how did that set up or not set us up to be able to replace the dehumidifier in time before, I think it was said tonight that August was one of the busier times. I might not be right on that, but so we ordered these parts really close to perhaps a busy time. Perhaps it's because we had to, because that's when the information came to us. But I'm concerned that Suburban may not have been forthright early enough to address these safety concerns. And that's probably my biggest concern walking out of here tonight.
Yeah, I can look back into the timeline of when buckets started for sure. But the time frame of the July 13th start with the hopeful 3-week plan, that was specifically targeted as a kind of a lull before our programming started back up in August. Now, with the unexpected delay in the part, that unfortunately led to the closure, which impacted the start of those programs. So had there not been a delay in the part, we would have been in a really good lower programming time of that July 13th to that first week or so of August was what we had originally hoped.
And I think you said that you'll do this, but again, I'd really like to know how long buckets were on the ice. I think that's really critical for us to understand that.
Mm-hmm.
Commissioner Bastian?
So many good points coming from everybody, so forgive me if I might be repeating a question in different terms. With the understanding that Suburban manages day-to-day operations, Ms. McEachern, you said that you sign off on invoices. Do you view the original purchase orders before they are made? Do you offer approval to those purchase orders before
Yes.
invoices come in?
Yes.
Okay. Just my concern is that, echoing some of the sentiments, by your seeing purchase orders, I would think that that is a means by which Suburban, if indirectly, is indicating that services are required and maintenance is required.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, to summarize, we have a CIP. That CIP has been updated with new personnel that understand ice arenas a little bit more maybe than previous facility managers. We expect that to get even better and more refined in the next cycle because of Connie's participation and a little bit more coordination with Suburban. This particular issue was unexpected. Could have been predicted, maybe. Should we have been maintaining it? Possibly. But, you know, without that expertise, it's a challenge. It failed, and we thought we could get some programming out of it for a while, and then we started putting, well, Suburban, whoever started putting buckets on ice, and then it became unattainable, non-sustainable, and the facility was shut down because primarily due to the fact that the dehumidifier broke and the part to get in to fix it is somehow just not coming in as expected. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
And if Commissioner Colo's math is correct, the enterprise fund, through fees and revenues from people playing to figure skate and paying to play hockey and drop-in hockey and all of that, go into a pot. We pay Suburban their contract to manage it. We pay all the other expenses, electricity, maintenance, all of these other things. And we have some money that goes into a reserve, into a fund that's supposed to address these type of repairs. But even though we put money into that fund, over a certain period of years, we've, subsidized probably out of the general fund, if this is accurate. Again, I'm not challenging to say you're wrong, but, I haven't seen the numbers myself. Tune of 1.6, 1.7 million, if that's true, which meets the claim what you said about every other ice arena in the area, which is cities, just like pools, heavily subsidize these facilities because they're very expensive to operate. They break all the time. It's very specialized, right? Everything's specialized. You don't go to Walmart and buy a dehumidifier and pop it to the top of the arena. It's all the Zamboni, very specialized. Everything's very expensive. So, when I first came on board here back in 2011, it wasn't Kevin Yee, it was Greg Rassel sitting in that seat. And Greg Rassel was a Marine. And Greg Rassel had a saying that I probably repeat at least twice a day in my day job. And he said, I can do anything that you want. Just tell me what you don't want me to do. And I think that's often the challenges that we're faced, more collectively as city government. The ice arena is important. I don't think there's any doubt the benefit it brings to our community from a qualitative point of view. The programming, youth sports are critical to quality of life here. It's critical to the future of, our state, this country, this nation, to have well-rounded individuals that learn discipline, learn failure, find success. We don't disagree with that at all. I think what it comes down to is, as we start to look at the long-term needs of the arena, what is it going to take? What is that financial responsibility of the users of the arena, and what is that financial responsibility of the taxpayers of Royal Oak? In almost every case with our enterprise funds, and for those of you who do not know what enterprise funds are, they're basically funds like the water system. We don't make any money off it. We charge you for your water bill. We take that money, we pay for repairs, we do everything, and we try to net zero. We put money away and do $1 million water line repairs and all of that stuff. That's an enterprise fund. The library has its own millage, so improvements you've seen in the library, they have their own millage, they get grants. A lot of our parks have seen investment over the years, but we've been very scrappy. Most of that's come from community block grant funding, which is from the federal government, so certain parks qualify, and most of those parks haven't seen a dime in 25 years. And we have 52 parks, so we're spending money in neighborhoods as we should be, but a lot of that's coming from other matched resources. Our two big parks, this one out here, Centennial Commons, has a sponsorship to keep its ongoing maintenance costs. Henry Ford Health System sponsors that park. which allows us to maintain it. Normandy Oaks, we sold off 10 acres of Normandy Oaks to pay for the improvements there, and we partnered with the county to defer and defray costs. The additional homes that were built there, actually that incremental tax revenue pays for the maintenance of the park. So in every investment that we've made in the community, we've tried to be very clever about how we can, not just get cool things, but also make sure we can sustain them. Ice arena is tricky. It's old. It's got high demand, high use, which is a good thing. But we have to leverage the expertise that we have right now and figure out what that go strategy is. Costs are outpacing revenue for cities. Inflation is out of control. All these contractors that we have to pay to fix the ice arena, to fix anything in the city, do roads or whatever, costs are going through the roof. We as a community can only collect 5% more than what we collected the previous year, even though inflation is outpacing that significantly. Why? The Headley Amendment. So if you don't know how cities are financed in the state of Michigan, read up on it. You'll be absolutely shocked. We have the worst municipal financing system, I think, in the country. And what that means is we've left, not we, but because of some lawmakers in Lansing back in the day through the Headley Amendment, just this year, $44 million left on the table in Headley rollbacks. So everyone's like, oh, you build new houses, you do all this stuff. Yeah. And we're only allowed to collect 5% more, so we roll back the millage rate. Doesn't make any sense, does it? Well, that's the world we're operating in. So we've had to be very clever and scrappy over the years to do the work we've done in this city. The golf course, they were $80,000 in the rears on water bills, and we just couldn't accept that. Was it 600,000? It was 80,000 a year. That's what it was. And so, to subsidize the golf of a few hundred people just seemed like an irresponsible use of our funding, of our taxpayer dollars. So we were able to work and get clever and figure out a way with the golf course management to at least get back on track. So, was it 600? 3 and change. Okay. We'll hope Commissioner Colo's right on his numbers. But the point is valid is look, in everything that we do, we don't have unlimited funds. So we have to make sure we have an honest conversation of what needs to be done, what parts need to be taken care of in revenue, what other creative ideas that we had. I had, someone pitch me to see if they could use the ice arena for a semi-pro league out of Ontario. And they were willing to make a big investment in it. What that meant was less ice time. So there's trade-offs, right? So we have to get very clever about how we approach this, because I don't know that we're going to be, that the ice arena is going to be at the level we all want it to be if we're just going to subsidize it out of the general fund. I'll tell you, I want to see the ice arena succeed. I'm not going to take life-saving equipment away from our firefighters to, fund it. And I don't think any of you feel that way either. So we have to get real clever, real creative quick, and be open to all sorts of plans. But the first thing we have to do is, at least feel very comfortable in what that CIP plan is and what that maintenance plan is. But right now, what's before us is an emergency repair that is a no-brainer, in my opinion. We have to, from a business point of view, you're losing revenue. It makes no sense not to approve this and get this done right away. And if you need any help from me to call the vendor, and I can be a big pain in the ass, let me know, and I can get on the phone with them and make sure that part gets here as well. So, Commissioner Colo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we're probably at a point where I can make a motion for the night. But before I do this, I just want to ask Mr. Marcus. I made a comment, and then the mayor had made some comments. Are you comfortable with asking staff to make a plan to fund the CIP, and what different structures like that look like? Or would you like that in the form of a motion?
I'd like that in the form of a motion.
Okay. Okay. So then I move the motion as presented, and then add a request to staff to produce a plan to pay for the CIP fund over the next 5 years, and what that looks like in different fees and schedules.
And potential any other opportunity that can
any revenue source, identify the revenue sources,
sponsorships, you name it.
Exactly.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Colo. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Herzog. Discussion? Oh, geez, Commissioner Herzog. So close, I can't see it.
Thank you. I think what we heard tonight was, sports community is something that we value here. I want to agree with the mayor and that we have to come up with creative ways to fund the things that we want to see in the community, and he gave a bunch of great examples of how we've done that. So we look forward to discussing that more. My biggest concern tonight is the safety of the users of the rink, and when things are flagged to us or to the staff, when things are flagged to the commission, because tonight we heard from public comment of the safety issues. We did not hear that from the city. And then lastly, I just want to thank the parents and coaches. All the students that came up here tonight, is very intimidating to come and advocate for what you care about to us. Any adult would feel that way. And all these kids came, they were so respectful, they clearly advocated for what they loved, and that is a life skill that many adults do not have, and so you should be very proud of how you're raising these students.
Excellent. Couldn't agree more. Anybody else? All right. I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Motion passes. All right. We have some relief now. Let's figure out what the long-term plan is, all right? I guess technically you can clap now, just not during public comment. All right. Oh, that is true. All right, this has brought us to the end of the agenda tonight. Does anyone have anything else they want to discuss? Does anyone want to make a motion to adjourn? We have a motion to adjourn by Commissioner Herzog, second by Commissioner Gantina. Discussion on this motion? All right, with none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion passes. Adjourned.
I'm starving.
You're starving, you said?
I'm starving.
Man.